Reborn in India as a Magnate. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Houseborn Servant. Madame Lina thought of organizing this collective wedding, which has many benefits. First, it can let these servants and outsiders know that Madame Lina has mastered all the internal problems of the Singh family and has the power of life and death. Tell these servants that if they offend Master Singh, they will not be punished severely, but if they offend themselves, it will be very serious. Second, it can win people's hearts. Madame Lina has just mastered the power within the family, and she will give these servants a collective wedding. Solve their lifelong problems for those who have benefited, otherwise they will be grateful to themselves. So Lina was very happy to take on this task, and was very excited, but after the excitement, Lina began to feel pain. Since Bel Singh's parents died in a car accident, the entire Singh family seemed to be cursed. Those old people who have been loyal to the family for a lifetime, that is, the grandfathers and fathers who have been servants of the Singh family for generations. One after another, the only old man who has supported until now is Jamal, the old butler. Preparing a wedding is not an easy job, especially for an Indian wedding, which is the most important ceremony in one's life, and is very complicated. There are so many rules and regulations. If there is no help from the elderly, it is not realistic for Mrs. Lina to complete a collective wedding of more than a dozen couples alone. Lina is exhausted and cannot solve such a big thing. It is too troublesome to solve a lot of trivial matters. What are the troubles? The first point is the housing problem. Not to mention the past. Half a year ago, the Singh family was just a landowner family that was maintained by land. They didn't have much money and didn't have much social status. After the death of those old servants, these young people also came to the Singh family castle to take over the work of their fathers and grandfathers. So the original homes of these servants became empty. They were originally thatched houses, and no one lived in them due to disrepair. Most of them collapsed into ruins. Now these servants are married, have wives, and will have many children in the future. They can't live in the castle of Master Singh with their families. So housing is a big event that cannot be avoided. If it is not solved well, where do you let these married servants live? Is it the Singh family that has risen now? Are these servants who have been loyal to the King's family for generations allowed to live in those simple adobe houses with their wives and children? This is too inhumane and will leave room for criticism. Therefore, as the general planner and commander of this collective wedding, Mrs. Lina has the responsibility and obligation to propose a plan to increase welfare to Master Bel Singh. So Lina rolled her eyes and sorted out her words, sighed first to attract Singh's attention, and then said quietly, "Brother Bel, you know without me saying that the Singh family was not rich before. Even the servants who served the Singh family for generations lived in adobe houses or simple houses. There were only a few brick and stone houses in the whole Laga village. Those old houses have collapsed and become ruins. Are we going to let these servants live in our family's castle with their wives and children? That's too outrageous. But it's not right to let those servants live in those simple adobe houses. It will give others an excuse. They will say that the Singh family is too stingy. The loyal servants who have served the family for generations can't get a good house. Where can you let the Singh family put their face?" Hearing this, Bel Singh laughed and said breathlessly, "Little girl, you are beating around the bush. You are asking for treatment for these servants. You are asking for benefits, right? Well, let you, the legitimate wife, show off your skills in front of the servants and make them bow down to you. Quickly grasp the hearts of the people in the whole family, right?" Singh really hit the nail on the head, but Lina had been very familiar with Bel Singh since she was a child. She could fully grasp the rhythm of when Brother Bel was angry and when he was happy. She knew what kind of temper Bel Singh had. When she heard Bel Singh expose her little conspiracy, she was not afraid, but just smiled and said, "That's right, it's not possible. These people have served the family for generations. Shouldn't they enjoy the housing treatment provided by the Singh family? It should be too much. If my castle was still covered with hair in the past, there would be a musty smell when I entered the room. I didn't have the money to decorate my castle, so how could I have the money to build a house for the servants who had served the family for generations? But now it's different. I opened a cement company and a cement asbestos tile factory. The only building materials that need money to buy are bricks and steel bars. The cost of building a house has dropped sharply. Even if you build a very beautiful 2-story villa, the cost can be controlled below 80,000 rupees. Building a 2-story villa for your own servants. What kind of treatment is this? This is not the treatment of a Shudra servant. This is simply the treatment of a noble master. Then someone would ask, being so good to the servants, doesn't Bel understand the saying that a little bit of kindness is rewarded with a lot of resentment? Bel understands the meaning of this saying, but in the Belsinger family, there will be no such phenomenon of gratitude and resentment. So where does Belsinger get so much confidence? Because these servants who enjoy the treatment of 2-story Western style buildings. Each family has served the Singer family for hundreds of years, up and down 3 or 4 generations. To use a saying of the King dynasty, these servants are family children. Tied to the Singer family, they rise and fall together. Even if the Singer family is so poor that they have to beg for food, these people will follow the Singer family to beg for food. A large part of the food they beg for will be contributed to the core members of the Singer family. To put it bluntly, even if the Singer family goes bankrupt, the lives and property of these people are in the hands of the Singer family. They will take the initiative to go out to work and hand over the meager wages they earn to Singer. As long as they don't starve to death, they will not leave the Sind family. Even if they starve to death, they will stay together. If it was decades ago, when India was not independent, if the Singh family breaks the law, these servants will be arrested and imprisoned. If the Singh family executes the death penalty, none of these servants will survive. There will be no such thing as a little bit of benevolence and hatred in the Singh family. If these male servants of the family have any thoughts, do you think that Bel Singh, who is a few years old, can live to this day? So these people's descendants are all the property of the Singh family. They will also be loyal to the Singh family and never betray. In this way, Singh gives these servants high treatment. Let them live better. Will there be any resentment and hatred? Isn't this a joke? So Bel Singh wants to build a 2-story villa for these newly married servants, so that they can enjoy the high standard of life of the wealthy family. There is nothing wrong. There are not so many twists and turns. And why not do it? Because he has a cement factory with low costs. So when Singh saw Lina asking for treatment for these servants, he answered very happily and made a decision that made all the male and female servants crazy. Since you want to build a house, just build one. A 2-story brick and cement house for each person. Does this treatment reflect the generosity of the Singh family? Ha ha ha. Chapter 127. Don't treat these people unfairly. A 2-story cement brick and stone building, one for each person. Even if the Singh family opened a cement factory, the cost would not be less than 80,000 rupees. That's not all. It's a good thing to say, save people to the end, send Buddha to the west. With such little benefit, Bel Singh is not at the level of being teleported. So Bel planned to play a big one, making everyone dumbfounded and sharpening their heads, wanting to enter the Singh family as a servant. Let everyone know that being a servant of the Singh family is more decent, more nourishing, and more crazy than being an official in the town. This can reflect the strength of the Singh family. So Bel Singh saw the surprise, and Lina laughed with her mouth open. Now that we have a house, we can't just give them an empty house without giving them anything. Can't these people sleep on the floor? So the family has bought all the furniture in the rooms of the 2-story villa. At least we should give each newly married servant a TV and a refrigerator. There should also be a set of gas tanks and gas stoves for cooking. That's perfect, don't you think? Lina was so excited that she was shaking all over. Of course, she agreed with both hands and feet. If she was given so many benefits by these bastards, then her position in the hearts of these servants would be unshakable. Not to mention that Bel Singh would find a few more wives in the future, even if he found 10 or 8 who could resist her as a legitimate wife. Those servants wouldn't do it. But Lina still felt unsatisfied. She excitedly drank a sip of coke to suppress the fire in her heart, calmed down her emotions, and then said, "You, the master, are so generous, and I, the wife, can't fall behind. You prepare the house, furniture, and appliances, and I will prepare daily necessities, such as a set of tablour, some daily necessities, as well as bedding and clothes. We, husband and wife, will work together to let these servants who have worked for the family for generations. It is to buy a private property that belongs to them and pass it on to their children. Not bad, not bad, that's it. The couple said to little Jamal, who was shocked and overwhelmed by the news. They asked for a calculator and pen and paper and calculated the cost of these gifts while eating. Of course, even if Belsina was rich and generous, it would be impossible. Buying a color TV for each servant would be equivalent to 20,000 rupees, which was too expensive. In the end, after much discussion, they could only buy an old-style color TV. It looked old, but the new picture quality was quite good. It was too expensive to buy a refrigerator made by British RB in the United States. In the end, Belsina decided to buy a refrigerator of the Huaksharan Sheng brand. Not only is it cheap, but it is also easy to use and strong. The gas stove and gas tank are not that expensive, but this thing is really dangerous. If the quality is not up to standard, it is equivalent to placing a time bomb in the kitchen, so you need to buy the best quality gas tank. After careful calculation, the cost of marriage for each male servant of the family should be around 200,000 rupees. Converted into RMB, it is equivalent to 16,000 yuan, which is not a big amount for a family with a personality that invests hundreds of millions of rupees at any time. But for those servants, this is a huge price that falls from the sky, just hitting their heads, and this pie is a meat pie. The servants of the Singh family get so many benefits that when they go out and see the servants of other families, they are so proud. Their chins can even reach the top of their heads. They are so proud. Compared with the treatment of servants in other families, one is in heaven and the other is in the ground. How can they not be proud? This is the spirit that the family's wealth brings to the servants. The overall family's appearance and self-confidence are fully improved. Isn't life all about spirit? Isn't it just for face? If you have this ability, how can you dominate the entire town of Sinjar and the entire state of Rajasthan? 200,000 rupees is worth it. Besides, there are only 6 unmarried male servants in the Singh family, including the human mule Brook and Hassan who is in charge of the entire family kitchen. Of course, there are more than 20 male servants in the Singh family, but those are hired. There are no more than 10 people who can be regarded as direct and trusted subordinates. The other 4 are also married. Married people should be treated equally. There is no difference in these 4 small buildings, so all 10 servants, whether married or not, enjoy equal treatment. The couple sat at the dining table and had a meal, which indirectly affected the living conditions of more than 10 families. After dinner, the couple was sitting in the living room watching TV. Little Jamal ran out of the living room with the tacit consent of the couple. He was so excited that he trembled all over and came to the servants' living area. He gathered all the 10 family confidants together. After telling everyone the good news, everyone felt that Jamal was joking at first. This is too crazy, but because of his different status, Jamal will be the chief steward of the family in the future, so it is impossible for him to pass on such a false news to everyone. He dared not spread what Master Singh said at random. When he figured out that the news was true, everyone was dumbfounded. Then there was silence for a full 5 minutes, and these 17 or 18-year-old guys began to celebrate wildly. Everyone was so happy that they were crazy. Not only had their marriage problems been solved, the house, furniture, home appliances, and even household items were all solved. Except for having children, which was their own responsibility. Everything was the responsibility of the Singh family. How could these families not be moved? Half an hour later, everyone returned to normal, and then you looked at me, and I looked at you. Everyone unanimously decided to ask Jamal's housekeeper whether they should pay a tribute to Master Singh and Madam Lina to thank the master and the lady for everything they had done. But Jamal didn't care whether they would agree or not. He ran out secretly to announce the news. If these people ran to the living room and knelt down to the master and the lady and kissed the master's feet, wouldn't that be a big deal? If the master could spare me for spreading the news privately, that would be a good thing. So the housekeeper Jamal dragged these people to appease them and gave them ideas to thank the lady and the master for their generosity. They should serve the Singh family wholeheartedly. The tops of the wild grapes surrounded by the mountain in the back 2 days are almost ripe. When all the grapes are ripe, there is a week to pick them. If it takes a week, the quality of these grapes will decline. Since everyone wants to thank the master for his generosity, they will go all out to pick all the ripe wild grapes within 3 days. Then the winner making team led by Jamal, who has learned winner making technology and has reached the apprentice level, invited the winner maker to direct. All the wines are completed and all the work is done, and the best wine is brewed to present to Master Singh. This is the only way to express the gratitude of all servants, and they can only serve the Singh family wholeheartedly. There is no other way to repay all the kindness of the lady and master, except to be loyal to the Singh family. Chapter 128, Young Lady's Bad Temper. Bell Singh and Lina knew exactly what little Jamal was doing when he ran out secretly. There was nothing shameful about it. It would be good for the whole family to let the servants know in advance that their master was so generous. At least their spirits would be improved and their lives would become more and more prosperous. The couple smiled at each other and watched the cricket match between Pakistan and India for a while. Bell Singh was not very interested in cricket, a sport that was popular in India. This was a disguised baseball. Even if you watch a cricket match, you just watch it for fun and don't know anything about the rules. But Lina was so excited when she saw the exciting parts of the game that she shouted. After all, the derby between Pakistan and India is the most watched sports competition in India and even Pakistan. The filth of the two countries has been made public. Everyone in the South Asian subcontinent knows what's going on. There is nothing better to introduce. In addition, I have been running around the construction site these days. Although I sit there to rest, I have too many things to worry about. I'm more tired mentally than physically. It also makes people feel tired, so Bell Singh yawned and shed tears while drinking black tea crazily and smoking to help himself refresh his mind. He had been watching the cricket match with the overly excited Lina, and the Indian team was defeated by the Pakistani team, which made Lina very depressed. Since the game ended, she has been pouting her little mouth, and a soy sauce bottle can be hung on it, which made Bell Singh laugh and cry. While comforting Lina, he took Lina's little hand upstairs to the bedroom. Okay, it's just a game. What's the big deal? There are so many times every year, it's normal to win and lose against each other. If you can't tell the winner, what's there to watch? Okay, it's so late. Go to bed. I'm almost sleepy. Seeing Brother Bell's tired face and red eyes, Lina felt very embarrassed and blushed for her willfulness. Isn't it just a game? As for tossing Brother Bell, who has been tired all day, into this, as a wife, I'm too irresponsible. If she gets angry again, it will be like a big lady's temper. It is the worst thing for her to be a wife again. After all, Indian men are all arrogant and have high requirements for their wives. They really can't see what they are like. This is a typical example of a crow landing on a pig, saying that the pig is black. Seeing Lina's very apologetic eyes, Bell Senior just smiled and patted Lina's little butt and said with a smile, okay, stop pretending to be pitiful. Go to sleep quickly. If you don't sleep, I will really get angry. Look, this is a husband she chose. He is so tired that he is not in human form, but he is still considering her feelings. With such a husband accompanying her for life, what else can she ask for? Lina very happily helped Bell Senior take off her clothes. Then she took off her own clothes, and the two hugged each other in bed. Before she said a few words, Bell Senior's snoring sounded. Sleep. It was more than 8 o'clock the next day before she opened her eyes. She touched the quilt next to her and found it was cold. Then he opened his eyes and looked around. He didn't see Lina in the room. Bell Senior stretched and leaned against the head of the bed, feeling strange. How come Lina disappeared so early in the morning? This is not in line with Lina's living habits. The little girl has always taken beauty sleep as her principle. It's impossible to get up before 9 o'clock. What happened today? It's really weird. He shook his head and lit a Camel cigarette to wake himself up. He saw that it was another sunny day outside. If there is such good weather for more than 20 days, the entire bridge and road construction project will be completely completed. In half a month, it will be the rainy season. By then, it will rain heavily for 3 days, light rain for 2 days, and drizzle every day. Even if you are rich, You can't hire workers to repair the road for you in the rain. Fortunately, the weather has been very good recently, and the project has not been delayed. In addition, Bell Sr. and his eldest brother-in-law, although young, also know the importance of money. Keeping an eye on the construction site all the time, coupled with the loyalty of the servants of the two families, helped the two people strictly control the cost of building bridges and roads. And now there are still tens of millions of rupees of surplus funds. If this trend continues, after the project is completed in 20 days, the funds for building bridges and roads that they have prepared will not only meet the needs of bridges and roads, but also have some surplus, which is the best thing. Therefore, although Bell's personality has been exhausted these days, his mood is getting better and better, otherwise he would not be able to spare a small part of his energy to consider the marriage problems of the servants at home. He was just halfway through smoking a cigarette when he heard the door of his room open. He turned around and smiled. Lena's originally flawless face was covered with black dust, as if she had put on smoky makeup, and her red eyes were the sequely left after a hard battle in the kitchen. "Lena, why are you so embarrassed? What did you do so early in the morning?" Seeing Bell Singh lying on the bed smoking a cigarette and smiling, he was immediately furious. Her little mouth pouted immediately, and her movements were very exaggerated. She sat down beside Bell Sina's bed and said angrily, "You asked knowingly. Didn't I prepare breakfast for you? That's why it turned out like this. I took your kindness for granted and let you starve. There are so many servants in the house, and there is a chef who needs you to prepare breakfast. You want to please me, your husband, but you overestimate your ability. You blame me for it. Where can I go to complain?" But Bell Sina knew that it would never work to reason with a woman, so he could only raise his hands and surrender. Otherwise, it would bring him a lot of trouble, so he could only sell his smile and praise Lina, the lady, for being a good and responsible wife. She actually cooked breakfast for her husband herself. What a rare loving breakfast. With such a good wife, what else can I ask for? Anyway, it was a good thing to say, which made Lina, who was irritable, smile and help Bell Sina get up and put on clothes. When Bell Sina cleaned himself up and came to the restaurant for breakfast, he saw the pile of black stuff and wondered if he might have food poisoning. It is possible that Lina knew that her cooking skills for Chinese rice porridge were not very good, or it is possible that she would know what the black stuff tasted like after eating it. Lina, who was originally a good cook, had to admit that she failed. The white rice porridge that she had worked hard to cook for half an hour turned into a pile of black stuff. If Brother Bell really ate such a pile of stuff and had diarrhea, the healthy person who was taking care of the patient would suffer in the end. In order to avoid suffering for herself and for Brother Bell's fat that he had worked so hard to build up, she decisively removed the black stuff from the table. It was better to have the usual breakfast: toast, fried eggs, and fried bacon. Spread butter and jam, and have a glass of fresh orange juice. It is nutritious and easy to swallow, which is much better than that black stuff. Chapter 129, Challenging Singh's Authority. Finally, he saved his life, which made Bell Singh reacquaint himself with his wife Lina. Although the little girl likes to play tricks, she is very concerned about her health. She spent half an hour to cook a bowl of dark porridge, but she didn't let herself drink it in the end. Bell Singh, who escaped the disaster while eating the familiar breakfast, was secretly thankful. Unexpectedly, Lina said to him while eating, and caught him off guard, "Brother Bell, our family is in an extraordinary period now. Everyone can see it, so we arranged the wedding of the servants in the rainy season. Everyone agrees. Although it will take some time, our family is really too big. Plus a qualified maid, without a few months of training, she can't complete the tasks she should undertake. So I decided to go to Udaipur in person to recruit maids. So I can't stay at home with you these days. You must be good. What's the connection? Why is it so urgent to recruit maids? Even if these maids are married, they are still members of the Singh family. As for recruiting maids again." But seeing that Lina's twinkling eyes seemed to hide some secrets, he couldn't expose it directly. Shouldn't husband and wife give each other some privacy? In addition, there are so many people in the house. Even if Lina is not at home, there are people to take care of herself. It is also a good choice for Lina to go out and relax, so she said with a smile. Although it is a little early to do this, it is also good to go out and relax since you have proposed it. You are the mistress of the house, so of course you have to complete the task of recruiting maids. Everything is based on you. I have no objection to anyone who is compatible with you, but how many people do you plan to recruit? Although our family is not as financially constrained as before, we have some money, but it is far from those billionaires. We don't need to be so arrogant and waste it. What do you think? Lena understood what Belsina was talking about. She said with a smile, I know it won't be wasted. What do you think of 4 people, plus the married maids and the family? They can still complete their duties before they have children. It's just right to recruit 4 people. Hearing Lena say this, Belsina felt very relieved. Lena is a person who lives a good life and knows how to be measured. Then he didn't have much to say. He nodded and asked Lena to go out and relax. However, the manpower at home was a bit tight. In a few days, the wild mountain grapes in the mountain orchard will all be ripe. Although the professional level of Little Jamil can only reach the standard of an apprentice in brewing red wine. But theory is theory, practice is practice. Little Jamil needs to be responsible for brewing wine, and it will take at least a week at the fastest. Butler Old Jamil is at the cement factory, supervising the expansion work, which will be completed in 10 days. As for the human mule Brooke, he is always with him, and running around the construction site. If it weren't for Brooke, the bridge and road construction projects would not have progressed so smoothly. After choosing, the person who can accompany Lina to Udapa to recruit a maid can only be Almasha, who has just got married and completed the major event of his life. Only these trusted men can accompany Lina, and Belsina will feel relieved. After weighing the pros and cons, Belsina drank a mouthful of juice and said seriously, there is not enough manpower in the family. The only one who can accompany you to Udapa is Almasha. I will select 2 strong male servants and your personal maid to go together. This will make me feel relieved, but don't go out alone at night. If something happens to you, will you let me live? Be obedient and don't go out at night. Although Udapa is a very good city with very good public security, it is within the entire Indian border, which place is absolutely safe for women. Even the Prime Minister of India dare not guarantee it, so women can go out during the day, but they must not step out of the hotel at night. What accident will happen at that time? Even if Belsina killed the other party with his own hands, it would not be able to redeem Lina's reputation. In order to prevent accidents, she had to be cautious. Although Lina was only 14 years old, she was not a child. She knew how to protect herself. She also knew that Belsina was worried about her safety. She smiled and nodded, and agreed. Don't worry, brother Belsina. As long as it gets dark, I will never step out of the hotel. Besides, I will be back in a few days. You don't have to worry so much. I will call you every day. Belsina knew that Lina was cautious, so what else could he say? He ate the last piece of bread in his hand, and drank the last sip of fresh orange juice. He stood up from the chair, straightened his clothes, and pinched Lina's chubby face with a smile. It's not easy to go out for fun. Bring some extra money, and don't be reluctant to spend. If you like something, buy it. Even if the family is in trouble, it doesn't matter how much money you spend, understand? You need the best food, clothing, housing and transportation. If you are thin, when you come back, I will show you how I will deal with you. Lina was so angry that she rolled her eyes after pinching her fat body. Just when she was about to fight back, she saw Belsina completing the movement speed that was inconsistent with her body size. He ran out of the restaurant in a flash, and it was too late for her to chase him. She could only sit back in her chair angrily and attack the breakfast in front of her, biting the bread and saying angrily, I will bite you to death. I will bite you to death. Let you pinch me. I will bite you to death. Lina could only vent her dissatisfaction on the bread, and Belsina, who laughed and ran out of the small restaurant, walked through the hall. When she arrived at the gate of the castle, she knew that the human flesh Rosebrook had several followers, and everything was ready, including the lunch he brought. He sat on the sedan chair with great satisfaction, and then told everyone to set off to the construction site. When everyone walked out of Laga village, the people carrying Belsina began to speed up and trotted along the mountain path to the construction site. By changing 2 people on the way, the speed could be guaranteed. They arrived at the construction site within an hour and a half and saw the bustling crowd in front. The people carrying the sedan chair had to slow down, and Belsina also took the time to light a Camel cigarette, smiling at the busy construction site. Don't mention the proud mood, just walk slowly through the construction site. Belsina flicked the ash in his hand. Inadvertently, he glanced at the 30 meters above and was stunned there. He couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the scene. Since someone blatantly violated his own rules, isn't this a provocation to the authority of this master? Take my words as a deaf ear. After repeated orders, he still violated the rules he set for the construction site. He didn't want to live. After the shock came anger, which rushed to his head all of a sudden, making Belsina's eyes red and his breathing rapid. He stared at a 40-year-old Chudra who violated his rules 30 meters in front of him, wishing he could shoot him, but he didn't expect that a bad apple would spoil the whole pot of soup. Chapter 130, The Steaming Beer Incident. Belsina was so angry that he quickly reached the 30-meter distance. The servant who was about to carry Belsina around the ox cart in front and continue to move forward was so frightened by Belsina's shout that he almost dropped Master Singh from the height of 1.78 meters on his shoulders. He was sweating profusely. Stop immediately. At this time, Brooke, the human mule who was following the sedan chair, looked around blankly and then wanted to look up and ask the master why he had to stop in the middle of the construction site. This place was very dangerous with a lot of traffic. Unexpectedly, when he looked up, he was shocked to see Belsina's cannibalistic face. He stuttered and asked, "Master, what's wrong? Why do we have to stop? This is the center of the construction site. If we stop, it will affect the transportation of stones by these animal-powered carts and the progress of the construction site." Belsina didn't say anything because Brooke, the human mule, was standing on his left and Brooke couldn't see the situation on the right at all. I don't know if the person who violated his repeated orders was too intoxicated or too enjoying the distance of only 2 meters and didn't notice his group. This made Bell's personality more tense and his language became more and more blunt. He didn't answer the questions raised by the human mule Brooke, but gave a cold order. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? Put me down." Belsina planned to kill one person to warn the rest today so that those damn hired workers would know what the consequences of violating his rules would be if they violated the rules that he had repeatedly ordered. Belsina, who had just come to the ground, stood up from the slider, sneered, and began to untie his belt. Although Belsina was wearing a traditional Indian robe, he always wore a pure crocodile leather belt, which was a wedding gift from Luna, on his waist. Pure leather is good. Not only does it not feel uncomfortable, but the belt will also cool down when it is hot, making his waist feel very cool. Another more important reason for wearing this crocodile leather belt is that it can be used to beat people. It is a very handy weapon and can be used as a whip. If the whip was really used, the result would be a bloody mess. At this time, the human mule Brooke saw that Master Belsina had untied his belt. He was sweating coldly. Belsina had used this crocodile leather belt to beat Almasha, who had made a mistake, to a bloody mess. He also knew that this belt was the master's most handy weapon. When he untied the belt, he was going to beat someone, but who was he going to beat? Who made the master so angry that he actually used this ultimate weapon? Who was it? Who was it? Not far from Belsina at this time, the person who violated Belsina's repeated orders actually saw Belsina and even smiled and stretched out his hand to greet him. He stood up and bowed, which made Belsina not know whether to cry or laugh. Was the other party insulting his IQ? You violated my rules, and you didn't feel scared when you saw me, and you bowed with a smile. This is too arrogant. If I'll let you off easily today, I will take your last name. Belsing pulled his face and walked step by step to the person who bowed to him and asked with a sneer, "Which village are you from? Do you know that I have repeatedly warned you not to drink alcohol on the construction site? I didn't expect that you would not only drink alcohol, but also drink steaming beer just after the work started in the morning. Where did it come from? You ignored my rules." The 40-year-old Chudra who violated the rules of Bell's character was obviously stunned, and then turned his head stupidly and looked at the glass in his hand. There was still half a cup of yellow liquid in the glass, and there was some foam on it, which was steaming. To be honest, it was almost the same visual feeling as heated beer. Then he looked up stupidly at the cold face of Belsing Master, and was shocked and speechless. The person named by Belsing was named Salam, Dabbler, Chickdoobady. Just by listening to the name, you can tell that he is a Shudra caste. Why do you say that? Because Tubadi is a big surname of Shudra, with a large population, and this person's name has more than 24 letters. In India, the shorter the name, the higher the status and caste. Therefore, Belsing has only 8 letters in the surname Singh, which means he is a high caste Kshatriya. And it is the oldest surname Singh among the Kshatriya caste. Because this person's name is too long, we only call him Salam. He was confused by the series of questions from the Honorable Singh Master. Salam has never been to school for a day, and he doesn't know a few words, but people who can live to this age don't have any extraordinary abilities, so they can't help at all. In addition, Singh Master came up and asked him about violating his own rules. He drank steaming beer early in the morning. Finally, he knew where the problem was, which made Salam not know whether to cry or laugh. He saw the very famous crocodile leather belt that Belsing always held in his hand. After all, this crocodile leather belt is the only one in the whole town of Sinjar, which is really too famous. In addition, this belt is a well-known weapon for beating people. Salam knew it when he saw Laoyu holding this belt. If he couldn't answer the questions raised by the master, he would be beaten up. Would he still be alive? It would be hard to say when he returned home. He also knew that Master Singh had misunderstood him. If he was beaten to death by someone who misunderstood him, his death would be too unjust. In order to clarify that he did not violate Master Belsing's rules, he could only bite the bullet and say, "Master Singh, you misunderstood. I didn't drink beer, but cow urine. This is my habit since I was over 40 years old. Every day after breakfast, I would drink a cup of cow urine at home. This is a very good health product. It is not beer, but it looks similar to drinking beer. If you don't believe me, you can smell it, and you will know." As he said this, he handed the glass in his hand to Belsing. When he heard the other party's defense, Belsing was already dumbfounded. He did not react when the other party passed the glass in his hand to him, but at this time, the human mule Brook behind him was not happy. What kind of identity is Master Singh? What kind of status? How can he be in contact with you untouchables? And you untouchables actually dared to pass the cup of cow urine to the old man. This is really intolerable. He took 2 quick steps, slapped the other party's hand away, and kicked the other party in the stomach. The other party screamed and kicked the other party's abdomen with both feet, cursing as he kicked. "Who the hell are you? You dare to pass that dirty thing in front of the master? It's really a heinous crime. I'll beat you to death. I'll beat you to death, and I'll teach you a lesson. What kind of identity is the master? Can you question it?" Chapter 131, Weird Nutritional Supplements. The opponent, Salam, was skinny and skinny. How could he possibly be a match for the tall, strong and young Brook? He kicked the opponent half to death with a few kicks. He could only hold his stomach and dodge desperately. While dodging, he howled and asked for help from Master Belsina. "Master, help me. Master Singh, help me. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I just want to make it clear that I didn't violate your rules and didn't mean to offend you. Master, help me. I have several children and a mother at home. I can't die. Save me, Master Singh." Hearing the other party's screams, Belsina blinked a few times and woke up from his shock. Seeing that the human mule Rose Brook kicked the opponent half to death, his mouth was full of blood and he was lying on the ground rolling. He quickly stopped Brook and said, "Stop, stop, Brook, you bastard. I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? I'll kick you to death." The human flesh Rose Brook kicked the man in the ass, causing him to stagger, and only then did he save the life of this Shudra. The scene was noisy, and he couldn't hear clearly what the seriously injured worker said. He was so angry that he was shaking all over and roared to the sky, "Shut up, everyone. If anyone dares to say another word, get out of the construction site and be fired on the spot. From now on, don't even think about working for me. Belsing, do you hear me? Shut up." At this time, the scene was surrounded by 3 layers of people, and everyone shut up, and no one made a sound. Everyone stared at Master Singh, wanting to see why the master was angry and punished this poor worker. Everyone felt the same way, in order to prevent themselves from making similar mistakes again and being beaten up by their boss, Master Singh. It's okay to get beaten up. If I lose this job of transporting stones, I will not only lose more than 100 to 200 rupees a day, but if Master Belsingh holds a grudge against me, it will not be worth it. After seeing that the scene was under control, Belsingh put the crocodile leather belt in his hand around his neck. Then he sat down on the empty bullock cart frame in front and lit a cigarette. At this time, Salam, who was beaten up, groaned and got up from the ground. Then he knelt at Belsingh's feet and cried, "Master Singh, I'm wronged. I didn't violate your rules. I don't have money to buy luxury goods like beer to enjoy. I didn't drink steaming beer, but cow urine. Master, I'm really wronged." This was the second time Belsingh heard the word cow urine. He frowned and asked in confusion while smoking, "What's your name? Which village are you from? Why do you drink cow urine?" Salam wiped his tears and said his name intermittently. "Which village are you from? Why do you drink cow urine?" This made the tongue-tied Salam not know how to answer. He tilted his head and thought about it, and then he stuttered, "Singh Master, why do you drink cow urine?" This question is very easy to answer. Because cow urine is rich in nutrients and has very good benefits for the body. I have been drinking it since I was a child. I have been drinking it for more than 40 years and my body is very healthy. I have never had a disease more serious than a cold. This is why I drink cow urine. What is going on? What kind of logic is this? Now that the world's technology is so advanced, I have never heard that cow urine is also a very good health product. How can this be nutritious? This is simply superstition, naked superstition. How can I have never heard that cow urine is a very good nutrient? Urine is a toxin excreted by the body, not to mention that it is a toxin excreted by a cow. It is good for the body. That's a strange thing. Belsingh was about to shout out the word rumor, but when he saw Salam actually said that he had been drinking it for more than 40 years. After drinking cow urine for more than 40 years, he has never had a disease more serious than a cold. Although he looks dark and thin, he is in good spirits and does not look like he is seriously ill. What is going on? Who can tell me what is going on with this cow's urine? Belsingh looked up blankly and looked around. The people around him listened to Salam, who was kneeling on the ground, saying that he had drunk cow urine for more than 40 years. Most people nodded in agreement. My God, what is wrong with this world? Is he out of touch with Indian society? At this time, carefully observing the changes in Belsingh's face, the human mule Brook knew that his chance had come. The opportunity to atone for his sins has come. While rubbing his butt, he came to Belsingh with a smile and whispered in Singh's ear, "Master, you don't have to worry so much. This is true. There has been a habit of drinking cow urine since ancient times. It's just that our Singh family doesn't have such a habit, and you rarely go out, so you don't know. But there are two elderly people in our Laga village who are over 80 years old. They have been drinking cow urine since childhood. Now they are over 80 years old and very strong." At this time, Belsingh's face was very strange. He turned his head and looked at Brook and asked word by word, "Brook, what you said is true. This thing really exists?" Brook nodded. "Yes, this thing really exists. There are two elderly people in Laga village who are over 80 years old who drink cow urine every day. Now they are over 80 years old and their bodies are particularly strong. As for whether it is the benefit of cow urine, I don't know. But there has been this tradition since ancient times. This is something that everyone knows. Only the noble master who has been pampered and has never come into contact with the lower class like Master Singh doesn't know." At this time, the voice of his eldest brother-in-law came from the outside of the crowd. When the eldest brother-in-law Blue came from the outside of the crowd and saw the chaos at the scene, he was very shocked. Seeing that Belsingh was smoking one cigarette after another and couldn't get anything out of him, he asked Brook next to him what happened. What made the good-tempered Singh master like this? After asking the cause and effect, the elder brother-in-law, Brook, didn't know whether to cry or laugh. He walked around Salam and came to his ox cart. He patted Belsingh's shoulder sitting on the ox cart and explained with a smile, "Saddam is right, Bel. You misunderstood him. He didn't drink alcohol, but drank cow urine. This is their living habit. You can't do anything about it. It's no big deal. Why are you so upset? Can you tell me? I will answer any questions you have. Belsing is now entangled in one thing. When did this thing of taking cow urine as a health product appear? Why does India, a strange country, have such a disgusting habit? Don't these Indians know that urine is also a kind of excreted toxin? Let alone cow urine, even human urine will be poisoned if drunk for a long time. What are these people thinking? They are too disgusting. How can they have such an idea? I don't understand. I really don't understand. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 132. Don't drink in front of me anymore. Belsing knew his elder brother-in-law. Although he was only a few years older than himself, he was raised in the Raga Valley by the old housekeeper. But his elder brother-in-law was raised in the wild. What did he know? He was much more experienced than himself, but he was not as smart or as courageous as himself. If he had any questions, his elder brother-in-law would definitely give a perfect answer. He raised his head and asked stupidly, "Brother, this Salam said that he has been used to drinking cow urine for more than 40 years. Is this a custom? Animal urine is a toxin. Aren't those who drink cow urine afraid of being poisoned to death?" Blue laughed when he heard Belsina's question, and then said, "Bell, don't you know there are many things? What's the big deal?" Yes, Salam is right. There is a habit of drinking cow urine. But the habit of drinking cow urine is not to drink any cow's urine. These people only drink the urine of yellow cows and don't drink the urine of other cows. Belsing could understand it after hearing this. In India, yellow cows are sacred animals, and others cannot harm these yellow cows. That's why these yellow cows are rampant in the streets and alleys of India, and only yellow cows are revered as sacred animals. Indians don't eat beef, but only yellow beef. But Indians will eat a small amount of buffalo meat, which is also a contradiction. The two different breeds of cattle are treated differently. One is a sacred animal, and the other is a meat supplier. But no matter how sacred the yellow cow is, the urine excreted by the cow is also a toxin. When is the urine of the cow nutrient? What nutrition does it have? Isn't this nonsense? It's really not nonsense. Seeing Belsing obviously didn't believe it. As the eldest brother, Blue had the obligation to explain the secret to his brother-in-law. He patted Belsina on the shoulder and said with a smile, "I know you don't believe it, but I don't know if I'm telling you the following gossip. There was a prime minister who was relatively old. When he visited the United States, he told reporters in public that he would drink a cup of cow urine every morning. He is over 80 years old and has a healthy body, a quick mind, and handles government affairs in an orderly manner. All of this is attributed to cow urine, which is also a very good health product. I recommend it to more people. Damn, it's embarrassing to the United States. Such a person can serve as the Prime Minister of India. No wonder India is such a weird country. There is no normal person from top to bottom. What's going on? Is there something wrong with the thinking of Indians? However, it has become a social habit for the Indian Prime Minister to drink cow urine. No matter how powerful you are, can't you change the habits of society? If you can accept it, accept it. If you can't accept it, you have to accept it. What can you do? Seeing Salam kneeling on the ground, holding his stomach, and sometimes coughing up blood clots in his mouth, I felt very sorry. Because of my ignorance, I beat this good worker like this. I should compensate him. It's all my fault. I don't know how to blame others. But I really can't accept this strange habit of drinking cow urine every morning. Seeing more and more people around, Singh knew that if this matter was not handled properly, it would affect his reputation and the progress of the project. He would be the one who suffered the loss. So Belsing got off the ox cart and shouted at everyone. "Everyone, this is what happened. I came to the construction site this morning and saw Salam from a distance. He was holding a glass and drinking happily. The liquid in the glass was yellow-brown with white foam. Although it looked strange, because of the steam, I could tell it was beer from a distance. I have repeatedly forbidden drinking during work hours on the construction site, so I asked Salam what he drank. But Salam handed me the glass he had drunk from, and everyone knew that this was a provocation to me, a member of a higher caste. So my human mule Brook beat him up, and Saddam was beaten very badly, and was seriously injured. Everyone already knows the whole story. It's all my fault. I apologize to everyone for the consequences caused by my lack of knowledge. I will also compensate Salam with 5,000 rupees in nutrition money, and I will bear all of Salam's medical expenses. After Salam recovers, he can come to the road construction site to continue working. But I want to explain one thing to everyone. Drinking cow urine is everyone's habit and freedom. I can't control this. But please pay attention to one thing. That is, don't drink in front of me. I really can't accept this habit. I hope everyone will pay attention to it in the future. Those who gathered around to watch the excitement were mainly curious and didn't understand why Master Belsing was so angry. After finding out the whole story, everyone felt amused and helpless. You said that Master Belsing was not wrong. That was because Master Belsing didn't know that Salam had the habit of drinking a cup of cow urine every morning. From a distance, I saw that cup of cow urine, which was yellow-brown, and had foam on it. If it wasn't beer, what else could it be? No wonder Master Belsing was so angry. It was strange that a noble master of a high caste like Master Belsing knew the habit of ordinary people. Ignorance is not a crime, not to mention that he was the master's follower. What's the big deal about beating a Shudra? He also gave 5,000 rupees in compensation and covered all the medical expenses. This was already a very generous performance. As for the fact that the master cannot accept people drinking cow urine, that is everyone's habit, and it is understandable. A noble person like Singh Master uses and drinks the best food and wine, so of course he cannot tolerate such a bad habit as drinking cow urine. So everyone understands Singh Master very much, and seeing that the master handled it so well, everyone also feels that the matter has been resolved very satisfactorily. These rough and illiterate workers on the construction site are so easily dismissed. This is simply a reversal of black and white. Even Salam, who fell to the ground, felt that he had been beaten in vain. The master was not wrong at all, and he was not wrong either. The only mistake he made was that he did not avoid people's habit of drinking cow urine. Who can you blame if the master sees and misunderstands you? In addition, Singh Master is so generous that he pays for his medical expenses. He gave himself another 5,000 rupees in consolation money, which was already the most righteous thing. So Salam got up from the ground with difficulty, bowed to Singh Master, and after the master's permission, drove the only property in his family, which was pulled by a strong yellow cattle breed heifer, and went home. After settling the bullock cart, he would take his wife to the central hospital for treatment, and then reimburse Singh Master for the medical expenses. The crowd gradually dispersed. At this time, Belsing was still very entangled, sighing with his eldest brother-in-law. They came to the huge fig tree together, and then the men did what they should do. At this time, Belsing picked up his mobile phone and called the old Jamal butler who was far away in the cement factory supervising the expansion work. Chapter 133, Brick Price Increase. After 2 beeps, the old Jamal butler picked up the phone, and immediately there was a buzzing sound of electric welding. So the old Jamal spoke very loudly, which made Belsina's ears hot. He had to hold the phone far away from his ear to make a normal call. "Master, what do you want to talk to me about?" Belsina said with a smile. "I want to ask how the expansion of the cement plant is going. Is everything going well? No trouble?" The old Jamal butler said with a smile. "Everything is going well, Master. The conveyor belt is being installed now. After debugging, it will be officially put into production in a week. By then, the production efficiency will be increased by 100%, and the daily output of cement will be 100 tons. By then, the needs of the millions of people around the entire Sinjar town will be fully met. That is to say, our Sinjar industrial cement factory can monopolize the cement supply of the entire Sinjar town. This is a monopoly enterprise, and it is necessary to have a lot of money. Ha 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 ha. It's good news. To be honest, the current daily output of 50 tons of cement can no longer meet the market demand around the entire Sinjar town. The supply is in short supply. Is there anything that makes people feel happier than the products they produce being in short supply? In addition, they need a lot of cement to build bridges and roads. As a result, cement is even less available. Who can be willing to see that the money spent cannot be earned? Fortunately, the expansion of the cement plant has been completed. By then, the output will increase by 100%, which will double the total output. By then, the money will roll in. I didn't expect that the expansion of the cement plant will go so smoothly. The conveyor belt is being installed now. Marbury, the manager of the cement plant, is a college student hired at a high salary. He is a capable person. This talent must be won over, otherwise the Belsina family will definitely suffer losses. Belsina was very satisfied with the expansion of the cement plant, so he smiled and told the reason for the call. Old housekeeper, the servants of our family, both men and women, have reached the age of marriage. I have discussed this with Lina. We plan to hold a collective wedding for our male servants and build houses for them. You know that we have no shortage of cement asbestos tiles. Then there are those steel bars and bricks, so I'm going to assign you a task. After this expansion is completed, arrange for people to go to Yuma Town, 40 kilometers away, to buy bricks and steel bars before building houses. This Yuma Town is also a large administrative unit. Due to its superior geographical location, it is located in the middle of Sinja Town and leads to Udapa. In addition, the economy of Yuma Town is relatively active, and there are many small factories, especially the clay under the ground is inexhaustible. Therefore, many new brick factories have emerged. The bricks needed by Sinja Town are all transported from Yuma Town, and the price of each brick reaches 80 pies. That is equivalent to 80 cents, plus the freight can reach 100 million rupees per brick, which is a very profitable business. When the old housekeeper heard this, he frowned and said angrily on the phone, "Master, you and your wife have made the decision, yes, but the owners of the brick factories in Yuma are really abominable. Now we have the Singer Industries cement factory in Sinja, and we can get those building materials in installments. More and more people are building houses, and the brick factories in Yuma are making a lot of money. I didn't expect that the owners of those brick factories would raise the price of bricks to 1 rupee a piece, a 20% increase. Don't you think these people are abominable? This is a local price increase. Who said that there is no brick factory in Sinja? Bricks must be transported from the distant Yuma Town. In this way, houses can be built. They are also monopolistic enterprises. You don't have to pull down their bricks, but the entire Sinja Town. In addition, there are millions of people in the surrounding areas. How many families need to renovate their living spaces? Not only is the demand for cement huge, but the demand for the main building material bricks is endless. I didn't expect that the brick factories in Yuma Town would raise the price on the spot. The price of bricks has increased by 20%, and 1 brick is equivalent to 1 rupee. This price is not low, and the profit is 50%. For an ordinary family to build 3 brick houses, the number of bricks needed will definitely exceed 15,000. It is equivalent to 15,000 rupees minus the cost of bricks, which is 7,000 rupees, and there is still a net profit of 8,000 rupees. For Belsinger, the 2-story villa built for the servants will require about 35,000 bricks, which is 35,000 rupees. 10 villas will cost 350,000 rupees. It is not worth it to increase the cost directly, but once you say it, you can spill it. These people are servants of his family for generations. Belsinger can fool anyone but these loyal servants. It's really that plans can't keep up with the fast changes. The most hateful thing is that the freight rate of these bricks has to be commissioned by 20%. Don't let people live. Just when Belsinger was very angry and silent, the old butler Mr. Jamal on the other end of the phone sneered a few times and said slowly, "Master, are you very angry? Not only you are angry, but all the owners of houses built in Sinja are also very angry. This is too much of a price hike. Master, the clay in our cement factory cannot be used and is piled there in vain. When it rains, it will be covered with yellow mud. Shouldn't we find a way to deal with this clay?" The old man is very smart and his mind is more active than mine. The old man's words are full of meaning. Belsinger immediately thought of where to put the clay piled in the yard. To be honest, the clay used to make cement is not so much. In addition, the clay layer in the ground is too thick. let alone 100 years, 1000 years, even 10,000 years may not be enough to dig it out. Then these clays are piled there, and when it rains, they will turn into mud, and then there will be yellow mud everywhere. It affects the access of vehicles and the environment. The best place to deal with the clay is, of course, to burn it into bricks, so Belsina said with a smile. Mr. Jamal, do you have any plans? If I guess correctly, do you want to suggest that I open a brick factory? In this way, Sinja Town will no longer have to buy bricks from those damn brick factories in Yuma Town. Not only can you make money, but you can also exchange for a good reputation. You are killing two birds with one stone. Seeing that his master reacted so quickly, the old housekeeper Jamal felt very relieved and laughed. Yes, master, that's what I mean. I have inquired about all the costs of changing a brick factory. It doesn't cost 6 million rupees. It's just that our geographical location is really not good. There is a rainy season for half a year, and only a dry season for half a year can production be unaffected. The number of bricks produced every day should reach about 600,000, which is an income of 600,000 rupees. Aren't you tempted? It's a lie to say that you are not tempted. If you don't make money, you are a bastard who has a grudge against money. Master Singh, I just love money. I want to get involved in any business that makes money. Of course I'm interested. Chapter 134. Big steps can cause trouble. Seeing that Master Singh was willing to follow suit, the old housekeeper Jamal felt very relieved. The old housekeeper's ancestors had served the Singh family for generations. It can be said that they were loyal to the Singh family. Anyone who betrayed Bel Singh would never betray Bel Singh. The old housekeeper was happier than anyone else to see that the Singh family's young Bel Singh had developed to this scale today. But as the saying goes, people are greedy. If they have money, they want more, and they also want to turn other people's money into their own. It is not enough to dominate one side, but also to dominate the entire Rajasthan. Now the old housekeeper's appetite is getting bigger and bigger. He is no longer satisfied with a small town of Sinja, and he wants to expand his own power outward. Opening a brick factory is an opportunity. So the old housekeeper Jamal began to show his sharp claws and proposed to Master Bel Singh. Master, there are 7 or 8 large-scale brick factories in Yuma Town, and their business is quite prosperous. It is only 30 kilometers away from us, which can be said to be within the sphere of influence of our Singh family. If we integrate Yuma Town, we can make hundreds of millions of rupees in profits just from burning bricks. Wouldn't you be tempted? Bel Singh said with a helpless smile. Butler Jamal, I understand what you said, but you can see that our business is already big enough. The most important task now is to repair the bridges and roads before the rainy season. Add some business projects to our cement factory, asbestos tile factory, and building materials store. Now we should focus on stability rather than expansion. If we take big steps, we will easily get into trouble. It was really hard to give up such a good opportunity, but the old butler was a little hot-headed. After Bel Singh poured a bucket of cold water on him, he seemed much calmer and said with a sigh, Master is right. I was too impatient and always wanted to eat a fat man in one bite. I didn't expect that I would choke to death. But Master, you are knowledgeable and know how to be patient. I will listen to you and wait until the rainy season is over before we take action. Belsina leaned back on the recliner and said with relief, that's right. We should eat one bite at a time and do things one by one. Let's take full control of the town of Sinja first. Blind expansion will definitely declare war on the outside world. By then, our family will be unstable and others will cut off our retreat. Our Singer family will be beaten back to its original form. What should we do then? Let's take it step by step. Let's occupy the brick market in Sinja town first. So I plan to set up a large brick factory before that, which can produce at least 500,000 bricks a day, so as to meet the needs of the entire town of Sinja. After it is put into production and becomes famous, are you afraid that the rupee will not grow wings and fly into our arms? The old housekeeper Jamal frowned and said, Master, where did you go just now? You said that it will be the rainy season in a while. When it rains every 3 days, it will rain every 2 days, and it will drizzle every day. Those bricks should be put into the brick kiln to be burned. This is the only way to produce qualified bricks. When it rains every day in the rainy season, how can those bricks be dried? Belsina laughed and put a grape from the grape bunch on the coffee table into his mouth. He took a sip of the sweet grape juice and filled his mouth. He spit out the grape skin and said with a smile, "My old housekeeper, don't you know that there is a way to build a scaffold? Put a scaffold on those bricks. It can block the wind and rain and prevent the sun from being exposed. Even if it rains lightly, the bricks can be dried and then put into the brick kiln to be burned into finished bricks. In this way, the cost is a little higher, but it can be produced all year round. It only takes half a month to recover the cost of these scaffolds. What are you afraid of? You can still play like this. Why don't I know about it, old man?" No wonder the master had such great confidence that he was planning to set up a brick kiln factory before the rainy season. It turned out that there was another way. Old Jamil felt strange. He personally took care of Belsing until he grew up. He thought he knew his young master very well, but he didn't expect that his master would grow up to this point. He was surprised. Where did all these experiences come from? Could it be that someone was born with such a high IQ? But no matter where the master's experience came from, it was good experience to be able to serve the entire Singh family. Then the old butler asked in detail how the scaffolding was built. This idea was reliable, and Belsing also explained to the old butler very patiently. It is not difficult to set up a scaffolding. You will know it when you see the production process of a brick factory. When the bricks are produced, they will be transported by carts to a special platform for parking. The platform is rectangular and more than 20 centimeters above the ground. This is to prevent the rainwater in the rainy season from bubbling up the soft bricks, which would then become useless. The old butler nodded and said seriously, "Master, that's the case. These days I have been thinking about where to put the clay that the cement factory can't use. One of our cement factory workers used to work in a brick factory. He also introduced me to the production process of the brick factory in detail. That's the case. It's good to know the details, and it saves him a lot of nonsense." So Belsina lit a Camel cigarette, took a nice puff, and then said, "Then the worker will definitely tell you that the brick factory where they work will put black plastic sheets and straw mats on the bricks. When the sun is good, the plastic sheets will be opened for ventilation. Let the bricks go through the drying process, and then load them into the brick kiln for firing. When it rains, the straw mats and plastic sheets will be covered to prevent rain from damaging the bricks." "Right." The old housekeeper's eyes were as big as copper bells, and he was stunned for a long time before he spoke incoherently. "Master, how do you know so much? Have you ever observed the brick factory up close? But I don't remember you ever observing the brick factory. How can you know so much? These are all things I knew in my previous life. Can I tell you? If I tell you, all my secrets will be exposed. You will kill me immediately, and I dare not say it." So Belsina just smiled and said, "I've never eaten pork, and I've never seen a pig run. What's so difficult about this? The production process of a brick factory is the same. The shed I'm talking about is to put the plastic sheet and straw curtains on the brick frame. To build a wooden shed, it can be covered with palm leaves or thatch, as long as it is waterproof. The shed should be wide and long. This way it can block the wind and rain. Even if it rains in the rainy season, air can circulate under the brick frame, and the bricks can be dried in the shade. Doesn't this solve the problem of producing bricks in the rainy season? With this method, the brick factory run by our family can produce continuously into seasons a year. With continuous sales, the profit is more than 80% higher than other specialties. Now you are relieved, old man, right? Don't worry, I'm relieved. I'm 100% relieved. With you, Master Belsing, in charge of the Singh family, what else can I worry about? My master is so young, but he is so thoughtful. I, an old man in my 40s, have to consider things in detail and thoughtfully. It's right to listen to the master." Chapter 135. It is very important to ask for intelligence from the outside world. Belsing smiled and said, "If you have money, you can build a permanent scaffolding or iron pipe welding. If you don't have money, you can build a temporary one, using bamboo to build a frame. Then lay bamboo or thatch on top to protect it from wind and rain. Don't underestimate bamboo. It can be used for at least 3 to 5 years." The old housekeeper agreed with this. The old housekeeper has been dealing with bamboo all his life. There is a large bamboo forest in the Laga Valley. Many living tools are made of bamboo. Of course, we know the toughness and corrosion resistance of bamboo. It is already very remarkable to be able to survive 3 to 5 years. How much cost can be reduced? If steel pipes are welded to build a permanent scaffolding, it is easier. But what about the cost? What the Singh family lacks now is money. Building bridges, roads, and expanding business. Which one doesn't cost money? Save as much as possible. Master Singh has basically solved all the problems, so what else can be said? The brick factory is not a high-tech factory. If it is fast, it can be built within a month. The most difficult part is the brick kiln, which is the soul of the brick factory. It is not so easy to build, and is very technical. But the old housekeeper thought of what Master Singh said before. Money can make the devil push the mill. What can't be done with money? As long as there is enough money, the brick kiln can rise from the ground at a speed visible to the naked eye. I'm afraid you don't have money. As the steward of the entire Singh family, how much money does the family have? The old housekeeper estimated in his heart how much money it would cost to start a brick factory, and then reported to Master Singh. Master, I just calculated in my heart that the preparation time for the brick factory should be about 1 month, and the slowest will not exceed 1.5 months. It was the rainy season at that time. The funds needed to prepare the brick factory should be more than 20 million rupees, and the big spender is the construction project of the brick kiln. The price estimated by the old housekeeper and the price estimated in his heart were less than 3 million rupees. 20 million rupees were enough to prepare a large brick factory. In addition, in the rainy season, the drying time should be about half of that in the dry season, which means that the bricks produced in the dry season should be dried in about 4 days. If it is in the rainy season, it will take 6 to 8 days, and then it will be sent to the brick kiln for firing. The first batch of finished bricks can be produced in 2 months, and the effect can be seen immediately. This speed is still acceptable. Besides, the family is short of funds for bridge and road construction, but it is not a problem to squeeze out 20 million rupees. This is a good business with a lot of money. Why not do it? You can make money and solve the problem of too much clay in the cement plant. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So Bell Singh laughed and immediately made a decision. What else can I say? Let's do it. From this afternoon, we will prepare for the construction of the brick factory, and you will be in charge in person. I will do my best to meet your needs for money and people. I just want to say that I will see finished bricks produced from my brick factory in 2 months. The old housekeeper knew that the Singh family was short of people now, and there were too few people who could stand on their own. Even the master of his family, who is so noble, still gets up early and works late every day to supervise the construction site. As the chief steward of the family, he should be responsible for all matters. This is his responsibility. What can he shirk? In addition, the old housekeeper was worried about leaving this important matter in the hands of others, so he nodded and said with a smile, "Don't worry, master. I personally organized this brick factory. In 2 months, I will let you see the finished bricks produced by our family. By then, whether it is building a house or constructing any project in Laga Valley, the bricks used will be produced by our family. At that time, the price will be reduced by more than 50%. Of course, he was relieved by the old housekeeper, but Bell Senior actually stopped the old housekeeper's request for external expansion. But Singh's appetite is much bigger than the old housekeeper, and he is more realistic. He knows that the first to strike is the strongest, and the last to strike will suffer. Is the world's martial arts only fast and invincible? Of course, we must prepare for a rainy day. After just finishing the preparations for the brick factory, Bell Senior coughed and said slowly, "The preparation of the brickyard has been decided. You are in charge. I'm very relieved. But as for the matter you proposed to me just now, although I rejected the proposal of immediate action, the preliminary investigation work cannot be relaxed. Only by knowing ourselves and the enemy can we win every battle. You are responsible for this matter personally. Find a candidate that our family can trust and infiltrate the largest brick factory in Wooma town as an insider. By the way, check the composition structure of various forces in Wooma town and achieve 100% intelligence accuracy. After this rainy season is over, it will be the time for our King's family to show their claws. Intelligence determines everything. Do you understand?" The old housekeeper understood it all. This is the master Singh he knew, and this is the newly rising hero in the Singh family. Looking ahead and behind, fearing wolves in front and tigers behind. That is not the character of Bel Singh. The reason why he endured until the end of the rainy season is that the Singh family really did not have extra money to launch a war of annexation and had to give up the fat meat at their mouths. But letting go in advance does not mean giving up. Advance intelligence is essential. When the old housekeeper heard this, he sneered and said, "Don't worry, sir. I will arrange a nail soon. Plant it in the largest brick factory in Yuma town. Find out what's wrong with it, so that it will be convenient for us to take action." Bel Singh really has to thank God and Lord Shiva for letting the Singh family have such a shrewd old housekeeper. How much trouble he saved himself. Although the two sides did not say it clearly, they understood each other and discussed the matter in a few words. He also said a few gossips to ask the old housekeeper to pay more attention to his health and rest. If there was no old housekeeper at home, it would be a mess. You must keep your body healthy and live to be 100 years old and serve the Singh family for another 50 years. After hanging up the phone, looking at the lively scene in the distance and the rumbling sound of cannons, Bel Singh felt his blood boiling. Then someone would say, "How much money can you make from a cement factory and a brick factory?" The Singh family has so much capital. Why not take this money to big cities like Mumbai and New Delhi to do real estate? Selling a house is equivalent to the income of a cement factory for half a month. Is this small fight interesting? It's really interesting. We said before that India is the second most populous country after China, and its economic development has been very rapid in recent years. Just like the reform and opening up, you can make money by doing anything in India now. But one thing is that having money does not prove that your status is high, and it does not prove that you can do whatever you want in big cities. Bel Singh is very clear about what kind of role he is and what kind of ability he has. He can be said to be a local emperor in Sinjar town. No one dares to shake his position. In other big cities in Rajasthan, he is a high-level noble and enjoys some privileges that others think are incredible. But in Mumbai or Delhi, you are just a rich high-caste class. If you are a dragon, you have to coil up, and if you are a tiger, you have to lie down. One is a local emperor, and the other is a rich upper-class person. Can these two completely different feelings be the same? So Bel Singh would never go to Delhi or Mumbai to live, and he would rather be the king in the countryside. Chapter 136, Surprise Inspection. After hanging up the phone, Bel Singh looked at the scene of the busy construction site in front of him, and a sense of pride arose spontaneously. Lying on the recliner, enjoying the fruit, he wanted to observe where there was a telescope. Life was leisurely, and there was no supervision. This was basically an outing. Time soon came to noon. Singh would eat lunch with his elder brother-in-law Blue every day. This has become a habit, and today was no exception. The two sat on the carpet, eating, drinking, and chatting. Blue did not have such good treatment as Bel Singh. He was always on the front line enduring the scorching sun and supervising the progress of the project. Bel Singh was the master, but he was also the young master of the Shah family. How could the treatment be so different? Seeing Bel Singh was white and fat, without a drop of sweat on his forehead, but looking at himself, he was tanned. How could he be angry that his skin color did not look like that of a Kshatriya caste, and deliberately made trouble for Bel Singh, his brother-in-law? The two people were facing each other, sitting cross-legged on the carpet, and the two of them could easily get the drinks placed in the middle. There are many varieties of these drinks, including iced beer, iced red wine, iced cola, and even iced fresh orange juice within reach. But I didn't expect that the 20-year-old Blue would act like a child. Instead of taking the bottle within reach, he kicked Bel Singh's knee while he was eating. When he caught Singh's attention, he said slowly, "Bel Singh, didn't you see that I was sweating all over my head, and you didn't pour me a glass of orange juice to cool me down? Really, you don't have the eyesight to do this?" Seeing his brother-in-law acting like a child, Bel Singh didn't know whether to cry or laugh. If the old man knew about it, he would skin him alive. He is a man who only acts arrogantly in front of his brother-in-law. Why don't you act arrogantly like your father, your own father-in-law? Although he was a little dissatisfied, he saw the sweat stains on his brother-in-law's head that were wet and dry. He also felt very embarrassed. Isn't it just pouring a glass of orange juice? What's the big deal? Belsina said nothing, smiling as he bent down, picked up the orange juice can between the two of them, and poured a glass of iced fresh orange juice for his brother-in-law, saying with a smile, "Blue, you can only bully me. Aren't you afraid that I will go home and tell Lina about it? Then I'll see how your sister will deal with you." Blue pretended that he didn't hear anything and drank most of the orange juice in a gulp, and then he burped. He let out a very comfortable breath and looked at Belsina with a sneer as he said, "Telltales, where are you going to tell tales? I just ran into Lina 2 hours ago and she took people to Udapa. I heard that she was recruiting maids for your family. There are only 2 masters in your Belsing family, Lina and you. There are already more than a dozen maids, and so many male servants serving them. It's not enough, and you are still recruiting. You have money, but nowhere to spend it." Belsing rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Since you met Lina, you will definitely ask Lina where she is going. Lina will not be hesitant when speaking, and she will definitely explain the cause and effect clearly. You are asking knowingly and teasing me. I can't complain to Lina who is far away in Udapa, but can't I go to Shah village to complain to my father-in-law?" Brew, who deliberately found fault, didn't dare to provoke Belsing too much. There was a big age difference between him and Singh. He was in his 20s and still bullied a 15-year-old brother-in-law. No matter where he went, it was his fault. His sister and brother-in-law were the apple of his father's eye. He knew that he bullied Belsing. That would be a shame, but he would have to peel off his own skin. He stopped at that point, and that was just a joke. He laughed without saying anything. At this time, Belsina said to his elder brother-in-law while eating, "Brother, you also know that Lina will go to Udapa in the next 2 days, and will not be able to come back in a short time. I don't have any interest in going back to Laga village, so I plan to stay in the town tonight and check on the business of Zinj building materials store. I heard it is very popular, but the old housekeeper has received my task again, and the one in the town must be too busy. So I have to go to inspect it and help the old housekeeper share some tasks. You have to rely on yourself on the construction site." No, rely on myself. Do you want to tire me to death? With you here, there is someone to discuss with. You, Master Belsina, ran away first, and the whole construction site is on my head. Can I manage it? This is to kill me. I'm determined to resist." So Blue shook his head like a rattle and said firmly, "I warn you, don't try to evade responsibility. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You just want to be lazy. Why are you looking for so many excuses? You're so old, but you're still throwing tantrums like a child. This is my property. I built the road. I built the bridge. What's the use of me being lazy? If the project is shoddy, I'll be the one who suffers in the end. You think I'm going to have fun? I don't know what he's talking about." So I rolled my eyes and said with disgust, "My dear brother, do you think I'm going out for fun? I have already told the old housekeeper on the phone that we are preparing a large brick factory. It will be put into production in 2 months, and by then our Singer Industrial will add a new flagship product. That is finished bricks. The old housekeeper is so busy now, can I not share the burden? Aren't you on the construction site? Those who are capable should do more work, so please help me." When Blue heard what Belsina said, he asked half seriously, "Are you serious? You really went to the town to inspect the work, not to be lazy?" Belsina patted his forehead helplessly, sighed, then raised his head and pointed at his eyes and said to Blue, "Brother, my good brother, when have I ever lied? Half a month ago, I heard Will report to me that Zinj building materials store has added a lot of business items. Added steel nails, paint, and steel bars and wires, all very profitable business items. I didn't have time to check, and now it's been half a month. Don't you know? You are talking nonsense. When manager Will called you, I was next to you. How could I not know?" Thinking of this, Blue also knew that Belsina was not lying to him, nor was he lazy. He really wanted to go to the town to inspect the industry. Is there any chance? The stall is so big, and there are so few people in the family, it is impossible to set it up. It would be strange if Belsina could be at ease. It's not like he went to the town to play, to inspect the work, to see how the income of the business items added by his own building material store is. By the way, check the account books of each company. This is related to his own income, and he can't stop it. Besides, it's only a day or two away from home, so Blue had no choice but to nod and say, "You can come to the town, but I will only give you 3 days. I will support you here, but you, the real boss, cannot disappear for a long time. You have to make the decision. If there is any problem, I will only give you 3 days. If you don't come back after 3 days, I will immediately return to Shah Village and see what you can do then." Chapter 137, Busy Building Materials Store. Seeing that his elder brother-in-law Blue was stunned by his trick, Belsina wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. His elder brother-in-law was honest. Could he have forgotten that the building materials store, cement asbestos tile factory, and cement factory under Singer Industry were all in the town of Sinja? Even if it took less than 3 days to inspect the 3 companies, his elder brother-in-law's previous guess was correct. Belsina just wanted to be lazy for 2 days. Seeing that his goal was achieved, Belsina was also very enthusiastic. He replaced the orange juice with his elder brother-in-law, and each of them drank a bottle of ice-cold beer. Of course, since there was still work to do in the afternoon, a bottle of beer was enough. After a good meal and a good drink, Blue went to the construction site again under the scorching sun. Belsina told Brooke, the human mule who came back for lunch at noon, "Call our chef and tell him to leave immediately. Go to the town to buy food at the end of the sale. We are going to stay in town for a few days." The human mule Brooke did what the master ordered. He carefully took out the mobile phone that Belsing had given to the family leaders when they were on their honeymoon. He called Hamel, the chef, and some servants to get ready. Although it was 2001, mobile phones were very expensive in rural India, and the phone bills were super expensive. The cost of a call per minute reached an astonishing 5 rupees, which was equivalent to more than 70 cents in China. The entire Singh family only had important members equipped with mobile phones, an advanced communication tool, and the number did not exceed 5. Old Jamal, little Jamal, plus the human mule Brooke, Almasha who had just married, and Hassan, the logistics manager who was in charge of the kitchen. And each person had to pay 200 rupees per month for the phone, including 200 rupees that could only be paid by themselves, and the Singh family would reimburse the phone bills within 200 rupees. The human Rose Brooke was on the phone, and although Belsina wanted to go back to town to relax for 2 days, the bridge and road construction project was a century-long project. He was worried about walking alone. So in the afternoon, Belsina changed his lazy behavior and became diligent, swaying to the construction site with his fat body. He looked here and there and asked the small leaders on duty to manage themselves and take charge of all the work within their scope. If there was a problem, they would clean it up. The Singh family paid these small contractors a lot of money, and the quality of the project must be excellent. Wherever there was a problem, the person in charge would be held responsible, so no one dared to be careless, and time passed quickly before dark. Belsina said hello to his brother-in-law Blue, then sat on the sedan chair, followed by several people swaying back to Sinja town. Now Belsina is more famous in Sinja town than the Prime Minister of India. What he did at the age of 15 is always so earth-shattering. It is impossible not to let people know. A person's reputation is like a tree's shadow. In addition, the Singh family is really rich and no one dares to mess with them in Sinja town. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are local emperors. Since entering the suburbs of the town, everyone who sees Master Singh sitting comfortably on the sedan chair, followed by the servants, bows, and salutes. Of course, those untouchables, those Dalits who dare not appear in front of the Shudras, are nowhere to be seen. Whether these people are out of awe or fear, or there is some element of flattery in them, Belsing will not care. Not to mention meeting and greeting these so-called people. Otherwise where will his master's identity be placed? The higher you are, the more others respect you, and the more afraid of you. This is human nature. When it was dark, I returned to my residence in the town. The traffic was busy across the street, which was the second most profitable business of the Singh family. Singh's building materials store was brightly lit, and people who bought things came in and out in an endless stream, especially some human-powered tricycles. Coming out of the warehouse at the corner, the 3-way buses were carrying all kinds of goods, and they followed their respective owners to deliver goods. Belsing did not even inform the manager of the building materials store, well, that he had come to the town. However, the second floor work area of the building materials store was only separated from his residence by a road. It was only 50 meters away, and usually only the old housekeeper Jamal lived in this house. He would only light the lights in his own room and living room, and would not light the lights of Master Singh. Now that the lights in Master Singh's room were on, it proved that Master Singh was not the one who came to the town. It was Mrs. Lina who came to the town, but according to the actual situation, Mrs. Lina could not come to the town to live alone, so only Master Singh lived in the master's room. As long as Will paid a little attention, he could feel the difference. Knowing that Master Singh had come to the town, he would definitely visit. But this time he did not, because Singh's building materials store was too busy, and Indians had the habit of going to bed late and getting up late. First, it was dark after 7 o'clock in the evening, and Singh's building materials store was still very prosperous. The two waiters were too busy to handle the work, so Will, the store manager, could only sit at the bar and calculate the prices of the goods himself. As a cashier, how could he have the time to observe the house opposite? Who lived there? Seeing the building materials store so lively, Belsina felt very happy on the balcony, drinking tea and observing carefully with a smile. He had dinner at around 8 o'clock, then took a shower and went to bed. He got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He accidentally glanced at the window and saw that it was already past midnight in Singer's building materials store. The lights on the second floor were still on, and many people were coming in and out. They were still working and looked very hard. The next morning, just after breakfast, it was 10 o'clock. Belsina brought his follower, the human mule Brooke. While smoking, he walked slowly across the street, bypassing the front door and coming to the rear warehouse area. Brooke went up and knocked on the door. After a long while, he heard a lazy voice from behind the iron gate. "Who is it? You're knocking on the door so early in the morning. Don't you know that Singer's building materials store opens at 10:30? Why are you here so early?" Hearing the other party cursing, the human mule Brooke got angry all of a sudden. He kicked the big iron door twice with his feet and cursed loudly. "Who the hell are you? Tell me your name. Master Singer is here. You dare to curse me? You don't want to live anymore? Then open the door for me. I'll break your legs in 1 second tonight." This was a big deal. It was like throwing a grenade in the warehouse area of Singer's building materials store. It exploded with a bang. The big iron door squeaked open with a loud bang, and a man with messy black hair wearing a vest poked his head out. Seeing that it was really Master Singer, he was so scared that he quickly pushed the door open, bowed, and apologized. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know it was you. Singer building materials opens at 10:30, so I'm still asleep. I'm sorry. I won't do it again next time. I won't do it again next time." This person was a villager from Laga village, and he was considered a family member who was not aware of the crime. Belsinger didn't need to make an example of his own people to establish his authority. He just smiled and followed Brooke into the warehouse area without saying a word. Chapter 138. The best-selling item is actually paint. Belsing just smiled and said nothing, nor did he blame the villager of Laga village. Belsing's silence does not mean that Brooke will not speak out. As Belsing has developed the Singh family to its current scale, it can be said that it is rich and powerful and dominates the area. Indirectly, Brooke became very arrogant and more violent. The day before yesterday, he kicked the innocent man who had urine with the cow. He went to the hospital for examination and found that 3 ribs were broken, soft tissue was bruised, and a large area of bruises were caused. The Singh family paid more than 6,000 rupees for medical expenses alone. Although Belsing taught Brooke a lesson, it was only a superficial discipline, which made Brooke more and more arrogant. Seeing that his master did not say a word, he felt angry, so he kicked the villager twice and cursed. "You have no ears. You can even hear my voice, Brooke. Are you prematurely aged and have amnesia? If you don't open the door when you hear my voice again, I will see how I will deal with you." Brooke is arrogant enough, right? But Belsing just smiled and said nothing. Who is Brooke? Who was that villager? Belsinger could tell who was near and who was far away. As long as Brooke didn't go too far, it would be fine. It was already 10 o'clock, and the store would open for business in half an hour, so the living area on the other side of the warehouse. Some staff members came out of the independent rooms one after another. They were washing and brushing their teeth. Although they were shocked to see Master Singh coming so early, they smiled, nodded and bowed to greet him. Belsina ignored these people and went straight up the railway ladder to the second floor. When he was about to open the door, he was locked from the inside. Because there were blinds in the window, he couldn't see what was going on inside, so he leaned over the railing and shouted from below, "Someone come out, why is the office door locked?" It was the villager who was kicked twice by Brooke just now. He ran over and raised his head and shouted to Belsina on the second floor, "Master Singer, yesterday, the store manager Will was counting the revenue. He worked until after 3 in the morning and he hasn't woken up yet. If you knock on the window, he will hear it. When I got up at about 12 o'clock yesterday to go to the toilet, I saw the lights were bright. After working all day until after 3 in the morning, it was no wonder that he was still sleeping soundly at 10 o'clock. After sending the villager away, Belsinger knocked on the window. After a while, he really heard the movement from inside, which startled the family. It seemed that Will's voice came at this time. "Who is it? What's the matter? Has the delivery truck of Bill Paint Company arrived?" As soon as he got up, he was concerned about work. Will, a young store manager, really has a way to manage such a large building material store in an orderly manner. In 2 months, the indoor turnover still exceeded the profit of the asbestos tile factory, the second subsidiary of Singer Industry. It is indeed ambitious and ambitious. It is not wrong to use this Will, and it does not embarrass himself. Belsina said with a smile outside the door. You are confused because of your sleep. Your boss, Singer, came and didn't open the door for you. Ha 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 ha. You care about work as soon as you open your eyes. Aren't you afraid of tiring yourself? At this time, Belsina heard the clanging of bells and bangs in the house, the sound of the coffee table, and the sound of the chair. Then he heard the sound of running. At this time, the door opened from the inside with a click, and he saw Veer with red eyes, unshaven beard, and messy hair like a chicken coop appeared in front of him. My goodness, he almost fell down when he opened his mouth. The bad breath was quite serious. It seems that the store manager Veer has some disordered life and indigestion, otherwise he would not have such a bad breath. Belsina frowned and covered his nose with his hand. What do you want to say? Let's talk later. Veer, what have you eaten these 2 days? Your mouth is so smelly, go brush your teeth quickly, otherwise the smell will be too strong. Veer, who was about to grin and speak, exhaled and smelled after hearing what Singer said, and said with a very embarrassed smile, "I'm sorry, sir, the fumes are stinking on you. Come in, I'll go wash my face and brush my teeth now. Everyone downstairs is dead. Hurry up and make some tea, and send it up." While letting Belsina enter the office, he shouted to the downstairs, then hurriedly put on his clothes, and walked down the stairs. He came to the sink in the living area, and began to wash his face and brush his teeth, tidying up his hygiene. As soon as Belsina entered the door, he saw that the office was as messy as a pigsty. There were still plates and half-eaten food on the desk, cigarette butts and scraps of paper all over the floor, and big footprints all over the shiny marble floor. It seems that the floor has not been wiped for several days. What's going on? Singer was so embarrassed that he covered his nose while sitting on a relatively clean place on the sofa. The human mule Brooke was not idle when he entered the room. He first opened the north and south windows to let the wind pass through and take away the smell in the room. Then he started to clean up, and soon he heard the sound of people coming upstairs from downstairs. A relatively clean male staff member brought a tray with freshly brewed black tea and some snacks on it. He put it on the coffee table, then picked up the mop beside him and started mopping the floor, helping Brooke clean up. 10 minutes later, the clean and beautiful office with luxurious decoration was finally tidied up. Sitting on the sofa, he and Will talked carefully about the building materials business this month. He learned that the building materials business was so hot, especially the smart store manager Will, who went to Udaipur to visit many companies producing building materials. The two sides started cooperation and added a lot of business items to Singh Building Materials store. The things sold well. Although the difference in price was relatively small, the profit was still considerable because of small profits and quick turnover. On a smaller scale, there were various types of nails, screws, small brushes, small rollers, door handles and window hinges. On a larger scale, there were various types of steel bars, glass, and various tools. The best-selling one was paint. No wonder Will asked if the truck delivering paint from Bill Paint Company had arrived when he just appeared in the office area. Unexpectedly, the most popular sales item in the building materials store is paint, which makes Bell feel incredible. What else can paint do besides brushing windows and floors? Why is it selling so well? It actually beats the cement produced by the Singh family. It has become the most profitable project in Singh's building materials industry. Bell Singh raised his question. Manager Will said nothing, just smiled, stood up, and made a gesture of invitation. He invited Bell Singh to the window and pointed to the road downstairs, whether it was a motor vehicle or a rickshaw, and said with a smile, Indians like colors, and they like bright colors even more. Bright color paints are the best sellers. Not to mention those large trucks, even bicycles want to paint their bicycles beautifully. It would be strange if such a large amount of paint did not sell well. Bright colors such as red, yellow, and blue sell more than 300 cans every day, and the supply can be replenished basically once a week. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 139. The best-selling item is actually paint. Bell Sina looked at the avenue, and it was true. Whether it was a bicycle or a tricycle, whether it was the three-wheeled vehicles or the trucks transporting goods, the carriages and fronts were all painted with bright paint in various colors. There were all kinds of shapes and patterns, which would be a bit dizzy if judged by the aesthetic standards of the Chinese, but they were very beautiful in the eyes of Indians. No wonder the paint sales were so good. Even if the profit margin was a little smaller, the profit from selling more was still quite a lot. Will, the young store manager, was very smart and knew that the variety of goods sold in the building materials store was good, quite good. Bell Sina was very satisfied and smiled as he took out a camel from his pocket, lit one himself, gave one to Will, and lit it himself, which made Will feel flattered. Well, the paint sales were so good, which I didn't expect. But how much profit is there in a box of paint? How much is the sales volume? How much profit is our families? Will smiled and stretched out a finger to let Bell Senior change his words, and then said this. 100 rupees for a box of paint and a 500 milliliter paint thinner for free. The cost price of a box of paint purchased from the B Paint factory is 60 rupees. The transportation price is 2 rupees, and the profit margin to our Singh building materials store is 38 rupees. Add to that the price of the brushes, sandpaper and other ancillary products used for painting, and the profit should be around 40 rupees. Wow, a box of paint is equivalent to more than 9 yuan in RMB, which is really expensive, but you can't resist the fact that there are very few paint manufacturers in India. According to Bell Singh, there are only 2 paint factories in Udaipur, one of which is the B Paint manufacturer, which occupies the top spot, with an annual turnover of 400 to 500 million rupees. It is a major taxpayer in the local area, and is quite rich. I didn't expect that Will could get the products produced by the B Paint company at a price of 60 rupees, and the profit reached 40 rupees. It's pretty good, almost reaching half of the profit, plus the large sales volume. No wonder the turnover of the building materials store has soared this month. It turns out that paint has become a pillar product. No matter whether the cat is black or white, a cat that catches mice is a good cat, and no matter what color the paint is, it is good paint. The profit will reach half, which makes Bell Senior feel very happy. He patted Will on the shoulder and said admiringly, I feel relieved to have you as a store manager. Your thoughts are not rigid. You know how to increase business items and accumulate small profits and quick turnover. That is also a good turnover. Keep up the good work. As the economy gets better and better, the people have no money in their hands, and their purchasing power increases. We can also do a big job. When Belsina mentioned doing a big job, the idea that Will had been holding back for a long time suddenly came out. He asked Master Singh to sit on the sofa and said this. Master, you said to do a big thing. I have been brewing a plan in my mind for a long time. Just as you are here, I would like to propose to you that we can increase the area of the building materials store's frontage, then put more goods on it. You also know that most people in Sinj are illiterate. It is useless to write advertisements. It is better to let them see the actual goods. At a glance, they will know what kind of goods they need and what you think. This is a good thing. Just as Will said, 98% of the people in Sinj are illiterate. It is useless to write advertisements or advertise. It is better to let them see the actual goods and know what they need and buy. With the increasing variety of goods sold in building materials stores, the current display stands of building materials stores can no longer meet the needs and should be expanded. Then put more physical goods on the shelves so that those illiterate people can see the quality of the goods on them and how much they need. Not only does the area of the frontage need to be increased, but also the number of sales staff. The two cannot meet the current sales needs at all. The buyers are illiterate and cannot understand the prices, so they have to ask the salesperson how much these goods cost and whether they can be cheaper. Wouldn't it be a problem if there were fewer salespeople? Even though Singer Building Materials Store is the only building materials store in Sinja town and has no competitors, it's not a big deal to let customers wait for a long time. The storefront should be expanded and more salespeople should be added. We can't always let the store manager, Will, act as a cashier. So Belsina nodded and said with a smile, okay, I think we can double it. We can buy the two shops on the left and then connect them to double the area of the storefront. Then we can put more goods on display and we need to increase the number of salespeople. I looked across the street yesterday. You, the store manager, are actually acting as a cashier. Are you so busy that you don't know how to add more staff? Store manager Will scratched his head embarrassedly and said, Master, you also know that the store manager's job is not only to contact the source of goods and coordinate the trucks, but there is no other tedious work. I'm idle anyway. I'll go down to help. Isn't it good to save costs? Ha ha ha. Belsina rolled his eyes when he heard this. You are the store manager. You are the head of Singer Building Materials Store. You are tired out. With such a big business, who do you want me to hand over? So what is the store manager doing? What should he not do? You should know it. Weir was very happy to be taught a lesson by his boss. He agreed and talked about something else. It was already 11 o'clock and the store had been open for half an hour. There was a constant stream of customers buying goods downstairs. At this time, Weir asked Belsinger to go downstairs to see the hot sales scene of Singer Building Materials Store. Wow, there were crowds of people as soon as he went downstairs. More than a dozen customers surrounded the salesperson and asked about the prices of these goods. There were also 2 staff members in uniform moving things out of the warehouse. There were all kinds of boxes of different sizes. The transport personnel who had a cooperative relationship with Singer Building Materials Store kept receipts and delivered goods according to the different goods. If the goods were small, you could use a human tricycle. If the goods were large and heavy, you could only use motor vehicles. The vehicles were divided into human and motor vehicles, and the prices were different for different sizes. Soon, a car horn was heard behind the warehouse. Dean Weir said to Belsina beside him in surprise, Master, I have been looking forward to it for a long time. Finally, Bill Paint Company has delivered the goods. This time, I bought 50,000 boxes of paint, which is enough for the sales of Singer Building Materials industry for 1 month. Let's go and see it. It's so shocking. When I went to the warehouse to pick it up, I saw a large truck with a load of more than 35 tons parked at the door of the warehouse. The truck was unloading canvas. After the canvas was unloaded, there were large cardboard boxes stacked one by one. Each cardboard box contained 20 boxes of paint. The 35-ton truck was packed with boxes. The staff of Singer Building Materials Store also lined up and came to the train with carts to prepare for unloading. Chapter 140. Child labor problem is very serious. The big boss was watching from the side. How dare these workers in the building materials store waste time? They all wished their parents had 2 legs. A small cart carrying 4 boxes of paint flashed past Belsina, just like a robot that was using a cheat. This made Will, the manager of Singer's building materials store, feel amused and said to Belsina beside him with a smile, "Master, you are still the most powerful. With you, these people will never dare to be lazy. The speed of completing tasks has reached 200%. If you have time, stay in the building materials store more often. In this way, the work efficiency of the building materials store will increase linearly, and the profits will roll in." Belsina knew that Will was speaking in a sarcastic way. He would hang out in the building materials store when he had nothing to do. If others didn't annoy Will, they would definitely be annoyed to death. Which professional manager would be willing to let the boss stare at him 24 hours a day? It was awkward to think about it. Belsina knew himself well and shook his head and said with a smile, "If I come here every day, you will feel uncomfortable? Stop fooling me. The task of expanding Singer's building materials store is now given to you. The 2 shops next to it, one sells curry spices and the other sells farm tools. No matter how much money the other party wants, you should take over their houses, then completely tear them down and rebuild them into a large building materials store. I don't know if you can complete the task." Will scratched his head and said with an embarrassed smile, "Hehe, sir, I have had the idea of expanding the building materials store for a long time. I have also contacted the owners of the 2 stores. They are also residents of Singer Town. How dare they provoke the Singer family? The matter has been discussed halfway. The premium of the property exceeds 30% of the market price. I think it is within a reasonable range. Don't worry, I will deal with the owners of the 2 shops in a few days." Oh, this advance time even confused me, the boss. However, the store manager of the building materials store, Will, is working efficiently here and is also working for himself, so the faster the better. So Belsing smiled and patted Will on the shoulder to encourage him. "Is the working capital in the store enough? If not, I will support you a little more. After buying the 2 shops, you can start working on the spot. All the subsidiaries of Sing Industry will serve you during this period. You are engaged in retail and make money quickly. You must become the leader among the subsidiaries of Sing Industry." Getting such trust from the boss is the greatest psychological comfort for every professional manager. When the boss delegates power to this extent, the professional manager is in the most comfortable working state. Will is no exception. He nodded and agreed with a silly smile. At this time, Belsing sighed and said, "Okay, I won't bother you anymore. I plan to inspect the cement factory. The old housekeeper must have gone to Udapa to buy machinery for the brick factory. As for the site selection and infrastructure construction, I can only take the lead. The building materials store depends on you." Will raised his wrist in shock, looked at his watch, and said in surprise, "Master, in 2 hours, it will be lunchtime. Let's have lunch before leaving." "Ah. The food at the cement factory is not very good. Are you in such a hurry? Are you in such a hurry? Do you think you professional managers are good people?" They all contacted each other secretly. If I delay any longer, those who want to see and inspect will have to be hidden by Marbury, the manager of the cement factory. "I appreciate your kindness, but inspecting the factory is the most important thing. If you find any problems, solve them on the spot. Thinking about the hidden dangers left, you professional managers should communicate slowly. I won't waste time with you here." So Singer just smiled, shook his head, and waved his hand, and walked out of the warehouse area of the building materials store with a human Rosebrook and a group of servants. Then he sat on the sedan chair and walked slowly towards the cement factory with Brooke in the lead. Just as Belsina thought, these professional managers communicated with each other, but Belsina also had a deep look when he left. Will felt a little chilly. He knew that Master Belsina was using his eyes to warn him not to meddle in other people's business. He had conducted a surprise inspection of the building materials store, and of course he had to conduct a surprise inspection of the cement factory. Sometimes, the news should be reported, and the news should be concealed. After all, these professional managers are responsible to their boss Belsina. Good or bad relationships do not affect the overall situation. He was scared enough, and Marbury, the manager of the cement factory, should also be scared. It was funny to think about it. Forget about communicating with each other, or let the master scare you. Otherwise how can I balance? This was what Will thought in his heart. So Will smiled and directed the workers on the site to unload the goods, as if nothing had happened. Then put these paint codes in the innermost warehouse, away from electrical wires and any fire sources to ensure that there was no risk. Belsina wandered for more than an hour and walked to the cement factory. The cement factory has now been built into a small industrial park, with the gates closed and the machines rumbling in the factory. Non-stop production. Another cement fermentation tank has been erected, and now the conveyor belt is being built. There is a faint flash of light through the eyes, which is electric welding. The gate of the cement factory is closed, but there is a guard on duty. He is also a villager of Lager. Of course, he knows Master Belsina and opens the gate without saying a word. Invite Belsina to enter the cement factory. In order to see something different, Belsina told the guard not to make a fuss and then walked with Brooke to the mine of the cement factory. You can vaguely hear the noise of people, the sound of cows, and even the sound of donkeys. It is quite lively. Over a small hillside, you can see a large crushing workshop. The crushing workshop is built not far from the foot of the mountain. This can facilitate the transportation of limestone ore and prevent landslides from affecting the factory. The machine rumbles and rumbles, and it is impossible to detect that someone is approaching. After bypassing the crushing workshop, a busy construction site comes into view. 30 meters away is a hillside, which has been blown into a funnel shape. In addition to the soil layer more than 1 meter deep, there is grey-white limestone below. The blasting team will blow up these rocks, and then gather them at the foot of the mountain along the funnel-shaped slope, to prevent flying rocks from injuring the workers at the foot of the mountain. These limestones will be broken into small pieces. These stones do not need to have any specifications. One person can hold them. Then they are loaded on some trucks pulled by machinery or livestock and transported to the crushing workshop 50 meters away. They are thrown at the feed inlet and then transported by the conveyor belt. Entering the mechanical entrance of the crushing workshop, the large crusher will grind these rocks into powder. Then they will be mixed with clay and various raw materials and put into the fermentation tank to burn cement. It was just 2 hours into the work, and all the work had been put on track. The entire ore mining area was in full swing, but what surprised Belsina was that in addition to those dark Shudras, there were also many children under the age of 15 or 16. This kid was not as tall as Belsina's waist. It was obvious that a 7 or 8-year-old child would appear in such a dangerous limestone mine. Chapter 141, which is more important, the law or survival. The clothes these children wore had been torn by rocks of all sizes, and they wore a very large helmet crookedly on their heads. They looked very funny. Although these children worked in these dangerous mines, they were responsible for carrying rocks and putting them on transport vehicles. But unlike other factories, these children looked very strong and had red faces even from a distance. Their muscles were also very developed, unlike those child laborers in poor areas who were so thin that they could be blown away by a gust of wind. It seemed that the nutrition of these child laborers working in their own factories was still good, and they did not encounter those black-hearted substitute contractors who deducted their wages. Belsina knew that there was never a shortage of child laborers in his mine cement factory or asbestos tile factory, which was caused by the social environment. More than 98% of the residents in Sinja town were illiterate, and family life was difficult. It was already very rare to be able to maintain normal survival needs. A disease or a disaster would directly drag the family into the abyss. Parents and grandparents were illiterate, and there was no money to support the children to go to school to learn to read and write. So when these children were 5 or 6 years old, they played naked on the streets. When they were 7 years old, more than 80% of them had already followed their parents to work. They did some work within their ability to help their parents increase income and reduce expenses. Children over 10 years old would participate in labor 100%. Although the Indian Congress clearly stipulated that no factory was allowed to recruit child labor in any form. If the boss was found and investigated, he would be sued. But if you abide by these regulations, it is a rule that, if you don't abide by it, it is a piece of paper to wipe your ass. A child laborer around 10 years old, no matter what job he does, His workload can reach 60% or 80% of that of an adult, but the salary he gets is 50% or even less of that of an adult. Therefore, not only in Sinja town, but every factory in the entire Indian continent can basically maintain 30% of the workers as child laborers. Of course, my own cement factory and asbestos tile factory are no exception. When I came to the cement factory to inspect before, I didn't see so many child laborers working in the mine. It seems that there are many tricks. Not only the inspection by themselves, but also the inspection by the town staff will hide these child laborers, so as to reduce the trouble for Master Belsing as much as possible. Because the noise of breaking through the site is too loud, coupled with the sound of people shouting and horses neighing, the ding-ding of hitting stones is endless. Everyone is working hard. Except for the supervisors and team leaders, few people are wandering around. More than 60% of these supervisors or team leaders are villagers from Laga. Having watched Belsing grow up since childhood, seeing the fat body from a distance, and the human mule Brook following behind, these supervisors and team leaders began to get scared and wailed at the same time. Lord Shiva, why did Master Singh appear in the mine? Those damn people didn't even notify us. It's not good for the master to see so many child laborers working here. It's over. It's over. He will definitely be criticized this time. There are also smart ones who secretly bypass the mine and run to the office building of the cement factory to find the manager of the cement factory, Mabry. He led the senior staff of the cement factory to the limestone mine, and then he saw Belsina sitting on a big rock, surrounded by a dozen children of all ages. Everyone was chatting and laughing, and Brook, the human mule standing behind Belsina, saw the senior executives of the cement factory running over. In particular, the director of the cement factory, Marbury, sneered, making everyone look at each other and feel creepy. If you stick your head out, you will be cut off. If you shrink your head, you will be cut off. Will you not solve the problem if you are afraid? Master Singh is not a man-eating tiger. At most, he will be beaten with a crocodile leather belt and suffer some skin injuries. What else can he do? For these people, you look at me, I look at you. Then he pushed the dumbfounded general manager Marbury in front, and everyone came to Master Belsing little by little, just like a primary school student who made a mistake and saw a teacher, lowering their heads and queuing up to wait for a scolding. In fact, Belsing has long known about the existence of child labor, and he also knows that there will definitely be no child labor in his factory. It's just that we don't know how many children there are. To be honest, I was really shocked when I saw that the number of child laborers actually reached 40% of adult workers. Will Bell's new song not hold anyone responsible? This is the social environment now. Who has money will let their children work as child laborers in such dangerous mines. Anyone with a little economic foundation will send their children to school to learn cultural knowledge. Those who come to work are all forced to do so. It's really too difficult for the family. The meager income earned by the children can also alleviate some difficulties for those poor families. If you were Mariah, you would definitely feel crazy when you saw these young children wearing big safety helmets and tattered clothes moving stones in the mine. You would beat up the professional manager Marbury and then send these children back home, let their parents send their children to school, and even give some assistance to these families in difficulty. But you can help them for a while, but you can't help them for a lifetime. Which parent doesn't want their children to live happily and become the best? There are difficulties at home, and they really have no choice but to let them work. If you dismiss these child laborers, their families may even face difficulties, and some may even starve to death. Which is more important, social, moral and legal constraints, or survival and death? Completing your moral character and satisfying your hypocritical moral bottom line will put the families of these child laborers into endless difficulties. It will put these children's families into a further life and death situation, and even cause these child laborers to become orphans, begging on the streets. They may even be sold by human traffickers. In this comparison, you may ask yourself whether it is better to dismiss them or keep them. Sometimes, acting according to your moral standards will indirectly kill others, and good intentions may lead to bad things. Because you dismissed these child laborers, they have no food to eat, and their families are in trouble. These children leave your mine and go to work in other factories. How will these child laborers be treated by those bosses? All this is still unknown. If you really want to help these children and fulfill your so-called moral bottom line, then you should be nicer to this child laborer, paying them more wages, giving them more meat for lunch, and supplementing their bodies with meat is better than firing them. So it is clear whether Belsina is a hypocritical saint or a considerate boss in reality. Because Belsina sat on the stone and asked these children about whether they were tired from work and how long they worked. What do they eat for lunch? Are there any holidays? Are there any labor protections? For example, safety helmets and gloves, work clothes. Chapter 142. Be nice to these kids. Although these child laborers are not very old, the youngest is only 12 years old and the oldest is not yet an adult, but they have worked for more than 4 years. Children are very smart and know how to read people's expressions. They know that this fat brother wearing those beautiful robes is not an ordinary person. When they saw this big brother, all the supervisors or team leaders nodded and bowed, not daring to breathe. They knew that there was more than 80% chance that this big brother was the boss of the cement factory. Because of their young age, these children were not afraid of this fat Belsing. Singh sat on the stone and called these children to his side. He told a few jokes first, let the children laugh and relax their vigilance, and then ask what he said. Brother asks you a few questions and answer them truthfully. Don't be afraid. No one will hurt you with brother in this cement factory. As long as you tell the truth, brother will not let them drive you home. You will continue to work in the cement factory. Do you understand? These children looked at each other and nodded, looking at Belsing with big eyes. Although the meaning of not speaking was very clear, they would tell the truth. Seeing the innocent eyes of these children, Belsina felt painful and helpless, and sighed and said, then let me ask you little workers, how many hours do you work every day? How much time do you have to rest at noon? At this time, there was a boy who was about the same age as Belsina, but there was no comparison in terms of height and body shape. He was very thin and his clothes were very black. He showed a pair of white big teeth and smiled at Belsina. We work from 9 o'clock in the morning to 18 o'clock in the evening. We work 10 hours a day and have an hour's rest at noon. What makes us happiest is the lunch provided by the canteen. There are not only vegetables, but also meat. I heard that the canteen is making curry chicken today. I can't wait now. Working 9 hours a day and having an hour's rest time means working 8 hours a day, which is reasonable for these children. Unlike those adults who have to work more than 12 hours a day. After all, children's physical strength cannot keep up. If these children are exhausted, it will affect their lives. Free lunch is provided at noon, with vegetables and meat. We will try our best to ensure the health of these child laborers. To be honest, the families of these child laborers are in a difficult situation. The food quality at home is not as good as that of the cement factory. No wonder these children's eyes light up when they mention lunch. They are all poor and can't eat meat for a year or two. These children are in the period of growth. Can they bear it? Not bad, not bad. Marbury still has a conscience. Belsina felt very satisfied and asked with a smile. Then eat more at noon. By the way, why are the clothes on you little workers so tattered? And you wear so many clothes? As far as I know, the cement factory should provide you with work clothes, work shoes, work gloves, and even towels. Why can't I see any of them? At this time, another little boy jumped and said, I know, let me say. After getting Belsina's permission, the little boy smiled and said, I know, sir. The cement factory distributed clothes, hats, shoes, gloves and even white towels to us. But there are no suitable models for us. They are all things for adults. Although we can't wear them, our father can wear them, so we took these work clothes home for our father to wear. Besides, moving stones has edges and corners. Even if you wear new clothes, they will be cut in one day. It's better to wear torn clothes. Isn't it more economical and convenient? Ha ha ha. Children of poor families have to take care of themselves early. Although they can't wear them, they are reluctant to return them to the factory and take them home to their fathers. Although it is a set of work clothes, it is a very precious and good set of clothes in their family. It is a very decent piece of clothing. Taking it home for their father and brother to wear is also a filial piety. This is human nature. Although they are a little clever, it is harmless. Belsina doesn't care. He just smiled and asked, "How much is your salary per day? Will it be paid monthly? Has anyone deducted your salary?" Although these children are naive, they are not stupid. When it comes to money, they will feel very nervous. Some of the younger children even lowered their heads and kept silent. Belsina looked around and encouraged the oldest child with his eyes. Then he whispered, "Big brother, I'll tell you, but you must not tell anyone else." After Belsina's repeated assurances, the boy said, "Our salary level has reached 80 rupees a day. That's 80 rupees. I can actually earn half of my father's salary. We are very happy to help our family improve their quality of life. A few days ago, when I got my salary, I secretly bought a pair of silver bracelets for my mother. This is the first time my mother has owned jewelry in more than 40 years. My mother is very happy, and I'm very happy too. 80 rupees is only more than 7 yuan a day if converted into RMB, but this salary level is not low in India. Adults only earn about 150 rupees a day, and some even earn less than these children, because they are so happy when they work, and their faces are sweaty from exhaustion. The edges of the stone will not frown, even if they scratch their clothes or even their skin. They definitely make a lot of money, and can help their families through difficulties. They can make money and their status at home will rise sharply, which is also the result they are most willing to see. How can they not be happy to help their parents at home? Seeing these children raise their heads in surprise after hearing what the big brother said. Then they kept nodding their heads like a unified lucky cat, proving that what the big brother said was right. These children were too easy to satisfy. At this time, a lot of people were seen running in the distance, led by a man wearing a white shirt and a grey suit. Mabrigada, the general manager of the cement factory with a big belly, and almost all the senior staff of the cement factory were in place. Only then did these children feel nervous. Belsina smiled and asked these children to disperse and complete their respective tasks. Then he jumped down from the big rock, waved his hand, and asked Mabri to come forward, and then said in Mabri's ear, "Yes, they didn't become vampires. You have deducted the wages of these children, so you don't have to be nervous. The social environment is like this. Give the children a bowl of rice to eat, help their poor families, try to protect the safety of these children, and don't tire them out. This is all we can do." Mabri looked up in horror and asked stupidly, "Master, aren't you angry that I hired these child laborers? I thought you would be furious and then clear these children out, which would cheat them all." Belsina curled his lips and said only one sentence, almost knocking Mabri to the ground. "Do you think I'm one of those psychopathic saints? I know the importance of the matter. Now is not the time to be emotional or moral. Instead, we should try our best to help these child laborers and protect them, instead of firing them and letting these children beg for food or become thieves. Do you understand?" Chapter 143, Brick Factory Site Selection. At this time, Belsina lit a cigarette and asked a serious question. "There is another question, that is there anyone deducting the wages of these children? Or is it like the snakeheads who organize the children to work? Dig a pit for these children and let them provide small loans. Then let them repay the usury little by little, and they will never be able to repay it. They will always work under these snakeheads. My God, Master, you are my dear master. How could you think of me as such a bad person? Who dares to do this in Singer Industrial Cement Factory? Isn't this an evil thing that will be struck by thunder and lightning? In the next life, do you still want to be reincarnated as a human being and become a superior person? Who dares to do this? Once you get angry, it will cost someone's life." So Mabri shook his head like a rattle and swore to the sky, "Master, none of our industries in Singer Industrial will have such people who will be sent to be beasts in the next life after death. If you know that you fired me as a manager directly, and then I will twist off the head of this beast with my own hands. Don't worry. We will treat these children and child laborers seriously and give them a way to make a living and a way to make a living for their families." Even 2 days ago, the senior executives of our cement factory held a meeting to discuss whether to organize some smart children and focus on training them so that they can become qualified workers after the expansion of our cement factory. This is true. After all, people who have been trained since childhood are the most loyal. Belsinger is very supportive of such loyal people who have been trained since childhood. So I agree that what should the senior executives of the cement factory do? The problem of these child laborers can only end here. After all, the water plant of the Singer family is not a charity or an orphanage. You must pay due labor to get due rewards, otherwise the Belsinger cement factory will not go bankrupt. Only by maintaining the normal operation and normal profitability of the cement plant can these child laborers be treated better, which is a healthy development. Hello, I'm fine. Everyone is fine. Seeing Belsinger's face turn better, the cement factory manager Marbury also relaxed and said to Belsinger with a smile, "Master, when did you develop this new habit? Do you want to launch a surprise attack? You almost gave me a heart attack." Belsinger was surrounded by the cement factory executives and walked out of the mine, saying, "If we don't launch a surprise attack, how can I see the working scenes of these child laborers? You think you are doing it secretly, and I don't know about it. You are a good man. Don't treat these child laborers badly. Otherwise, if I find out, I will see how I will deal with you executives." The people who escaped the disaster looked at each other and felt helpless. At this time, Marbury said, "Then, Master, what are you doing here this time? Are you here just to conduct a surprise inspection to scare us?" Belsinger squinted his eyes and curled his lips and said, "You are not worth it. This time I'm here to work, not to make a surprise attack. I believe you also know that the old butler left the cement factory yesterday and went to Udapa to buy machinery. He plans to open a brick factory next to the cement factory to digest the unusable clay." Marbury knew this very well because he was there when the old butler called. He smiled and nodded to Belsinger, giving him a thumbs up, and said admiringly, "Master, I have to admire your courage. The investment in the brick factory is tens of millions, and it was finalized on the phone. If this brick factory is set up, Arsing Industry will have another subsidiary, and the profit prospects are quite good. With the faster and faster development of social economy, the demand for bricks is also increasing. There is no place where buildings are not built. Even though the profit from selling a brick is only half a rupee, but with small profits and quick turnover, how much are 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million bricks worth? When the time comes, use some unconventional means. Take over all the brick factories in that damn Yuma town. Then, the bricks needed by the nearly 1.8 million people in the surrounding area of dozens of kilometers will all be purchased from your own brick factories. This is a monopoly industry. How can it not make money?" Marbury's flattery was comfortable, and it also touched Belsinger's itch. He looked at Marbury with appreciation and finally smiled. "So, the old butler is fully responsible for purchasing the mechanical component factory. I'm here to share the old butler's worries. Let's first choose a good site and build the infrastructure. When the time comes, the machines will be shipped back, debugged, and hired workers can produce bricks again." Marbury was so surprised that he almost dropped his chin on his feet. He stuttered, "Old Master, your ideas are really wild. How can we produce bricks when the rainy season is about to begin?" Several brick factories in Wuma Town have stopped production during the rainy season, which means that the brick factory is simply a deadly enemy that cannot be solved. Belsinger shook his head and repeated what he said to the old butler. Marbury then smiled foolishly with his eyes shining. Beautiful snot bubbles came out, but Master Belsinger's words brought Marbury back to his original form. "Don't dream there. The brick factory cannot be a subordinate unit of the cement factory. It should be independent. I will hire a professional manager like you to take care of all the affairs of the brick factory. Your two factories are so close to each other. You can help each other after becoming an industrial park. As the saying goes, you can't chew too much. One cement factory is enough for me to be busy. If I have another brick factory, I will not be able to survive. It is better to not give myself peace of mind." While accompanying Belsinger to inspect the cement factory, Marbury ordered the canteen manager to go to the kitchen and act as a chef temporarily. This kitchen manager is a pork-kshatriya high-caste, and only he can cook dishes suitable for Master Belsinger. Because the chef in the canteen is of Vaishya caste, the food he makes does not meet the standards of the higher castes. At this time, Marbury personally accompanied Belsinger to the other side of the cement factory, on the edge of a flat land near a small river. The land is paved with burnt yellow clay. It is a pity to just compact it and lay it on the ground. Digging 30 meters underground still yields a clay layer, and digging uphill still yields a clay layer. So clay, the main raw material for making bricks, is inexhaustible. This piece of flat land occupies more than twice the space of a cement plant, which is just the right size for a brick factory. There is also a river that flows all year round. It is the best place to use it for drainage projects, because the thing a brick factory fears most is water. The place is large enough, and clay can be obtained locally. There is plenty of it on the mountain. This is the best geographical location for a brick factory. So Belching pointed to this piece of clay land covered with weeds and said, "What a good piece of land, just right for building a brick factory. Let's plan it out this afternoon, and try to start construction tomorrow." Chapter 144, Drawing the sketch yourself. This piece of vacant land is at least 2 acres, enough to build a large brick factory, plus the clay, the main raw material of bricks, is locally available. It saves a lot of costs, and it will be very profitable after it is built, so Belcina is very excited. He found a clean stone to sit down, looking at the vacant land in front of him, and he was in high spirits. He took out a cigarette, lit it, and said to Marbury next to him, "Send someone to your office, and bring me some blank paper, a ruler, a pencil and an eraser. I want to plan this vacant land in front of me." "What is this for? When will you, Mr. Singh, who didn't even graduate from high school, draw engineering drawings?" "This is a joke." Marbury signaled the many senior executives of the cement factory to stand aside with his eyes, and then whispered to Belcina, "My great master, drawing blueprints is done by professionals. Can you draw well? Let's find a professional surveying and mapping engineering team to draw a sketch, and then give it to you for approval. Don't underestimate your master. I was engaged in the procurement of engineering machinery in my previous life. I have drawn all kinds of mechanical drawings. What's more, I drew a sketch, just a simple plan of the layout of various facilities in the brick factory. Is it that difficult? Let you see the strength of Master Singh and let you country bumpkins see what talent is." So he said with a smile, "I asked you to go. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I drew a sketch, not a real rendering. It's just where to arrange the various facilities of the brick factory. What's the fuss? Go quickly. I want to finish this sketch before lunch. The boss has given the order, so what's there to hesitate about?" 5 minutes later, holding the sharpened pencil, Belcina began to plan the location of various facilities in the brick factory bit by bit. Just a few strokes made Marbury, who has a strong professional quality, admire him. The master was really good at drawing. He could draw a very detailed sketch, and the surrounding 2 acres of land were clearly planned. Because all the clay was taken from the cliff on the mountain, in order to prevent landslides, the brick kiln was more than 1,000 meters away from the cliff. This brick kiln was planned to have 24 caves. The exterior was made of red bricks and cement, and a dry and compacted clay layer was added in the middle. Refractory bricks were stacked inside, with a large iron chimney in the middle and large blowers on both sides. This brick kiln actually has 24 caves, and the production cycle was ignited on both sides. The official number of bricks filled in the kiln should reach 400,000. There should be 7 or 8 workers alone to burn the kiln. This brick kiln is 5 meters above the ground and 8 meters from the foundation. This is to prevent floods from soaking and collapsing the brick kiln. The brick kiln is the most important production tool and property of the brick factory. If the brick kiln collapses, the brick factory will disappear on the spot. Therefore, the brick kiln must be built on a soil platform with clay, sand, and even cement at a height of 8 meters from the foundation. There is a little slope on the side, but donkeys are used as the main force of transportation. Placing bricks on the electric trailer can fully meet the transportation needs. The 3-meter high slope is a piece of cake for these donkeys. After a simple sketch of a brick kiln, the location of the brick factory machinery production line is also planned. That is, the production machinery is placed 200 meters away from the cliff. This is close to the cliff to facilitate the transportation of clay. A freight yard area with a radius of more than 1,000 meters is planned next to the clay storage yard. This freight yard area is used to stack bricks. Another important raw material is furnace ash. Then on the other side of the brick kiln, all brick racks with a length of more than 1,000 meters and a width of 2 meters are built, with 3 meters of open space between the 2 rows. It sounds like a rack, but it is actually a long stone platform built with cement and bricks off the ground and a foundation more than 30 centimeters high. The produced bricks are stacked on the stone platform, and a shed is built at a height of 2 meters on the top of the stone platform to block wind, rain, and sunlight. The length of 1000 meters can fully meet the normal needs of the brick factory, and even the other end of the brick rack extends to the river. Then 2 drainage ditches were dug on both sides of the brick rack stone platform, so that rainwater in the rainy season can be discharged into the small ditch along these drainage ditches. Every 50 brick racks will have a cement house built at the beginning. The house does not need to be too big to accommodate 10 people. These are the residences of the frame guards. Their responsibility is to protect the safety of these bricks, maintain the normal operation of the scaffolding, pick up waste bricks, and dredge the drainage ditch. The work is not tiring but not easy. In less than an hour, this detailed sketch was drawn. Although it is a plain map, the various plans are very neat and well regulated, which is not inferior to professional surveyors, which makes everyone feel surprised. A total of more than 500 brick racks with a length of 1 kilometer will be built. From a high altitude, they are as neat and uniform as farm dogs. More than 10 bungalows where frame guards live neatly guard these brick racks, including machine moving production lines, and brick kilns are vividly displayed in front of everyone. In order to explain to everyone in detail what is drawn above, while drawing, Belsina explained to everyone what was drawn on the picture. It was completed in half an hour, and then Belsina recorded it in detail. The machine team of the brick factory produces water bricks. That is, wet bricks. The working procedure is very simple. Mix the clay and furnace ash according to the proportion, grind them, add water, and then squeeze them into long strips of mud. Through mechanical cutting, this long mud strip is cut into 30 water bricks, and then pushed onto the bamboo pallet. 10 pallets can complete the transportation of a car of water bricks. What are the various vehicles used in the brick factory? One is that the water brick car is very similar to the rickshaws in ancient times, which are pulled by manpower, because there is a platform at the back. The wet bricks are placed on the bamboo board, so the back is heavy and the front is light, and the car is very easy to run. In this way, a total of 50 cars are needed to pull the water bricks. After the machine produces the water bricks, the vehicle pulls them to the brick rack. Then the workers took their own simple welded forks and forked the bricks and stacked them neatly on the racks. Forking the water bricks requires frequent bending, and only healthy adult women and men can complete such a difficult task. When all the bricks are dried, the person in charge of drying the bricks will neatly stack them on the small cart for transporting the dry bricks. A car can carry more than 1,000 bricks, with a donkey in front as the main force and a driver to control the direction. These dry bricks are transported to the brick kiln, where professional kiln stackers neatly stack them in the kiln, and then the kiln door is sealed to burn red bricks. Then the workers out of the kiln stack these still hot red bricks neatly on the kiln truck, 200 yuan per truck. Then they are transported to the freight yard next to the brick kiln, and these red bricks are stacked one by one, 200 yuan per brick, not more, not less. This completes the entire red brick production work. If this normal large-scale brick factory is to operate normally, the number of workers required should be around 80. Chapter 145. Work will start in the afternoon. While writing and drawing, he explained everything the brick factory needed to the senior management of the cement factory. Everyone was dumbfounded. I didn't expect that my noble master could know the production process of the brick factory, and even every detail was described so detailed, and every type of human-powered vehicle was drawn so clearly. Could it be that this master had interned in these brick factories, or had seen the production process? As expected, the master is knowledgeable. It was more than an hour after finishing this sketch, and it was also lunchtime. Belsina ran to 2 subsidiaries in the morning. My stomach was already growling with hunger, and I came to the cafeteria of the cement factory and saw workers queuing up for food. Today's meal had been arranged long ago: curry stewed vegetables, and the vegetables included white radish, potatoes, cabbage, and a lot of celery. Another dish was meat, curry chicken. It was called curry chicken, but most of the stewed part was chicken breast and chicken skeleton. The delicious parts of the chicken, such as chicken neck, chicken wings, and chicken legs, were nowhere to be seen. The workers at the cement factory replied that there were almost 200 people, and how many chickens would be needed to stew chicken again. How much? These chicken breasts and chicken skeletons were purchased from the Udapa poultry processing plant, and they were also the leftovers used by KFC or fried chicken shops. But even if it was leftovers, it was meat, and the curry chicken was very rich. Each person could taste a spoonful, which was 2.5 teals of curry chicken. There was a small restaurant in the cafeteria, which was quite luxurious. This was where all the heads of the cement factory had their meals, and there was a professional chef in charge. Of course, this chef was of a high-caste, but the one who was in charge of cooking today was actually a Kshatriya caste, so Belle could still eat the food in the cafeteria. The dishes used by the boss and the senior management were of course many times better than those of the workers. The curry chicken was made from a large domestic rooster. It was so fragrant, and it was served with a vegetable salad and a fish soup stewed into a milky white color. There were 2 dishes and 1 soup, both meat and vegetables, and everyone was very happy to eat. After dinner, everyone came to the conference room for a meeting. Because the cement factory needed large machinery and equipment, Belle Singh had spent a huge amount of money to buy it back from Udapa 2 months ago. Several large machines, such as large shovels, trenchers, vehicles for transporting ore, large shovels and trenchers, can be deployed now. Build the 3-meter high platform needed by the brick kiln, and then hire a road roller from Udapa. The 3-meter high platform must be compacted to prevent it from being washed away by rain in the rainy season. This is the only way to achieve the goal. So in the afternoon, the construction machinery of the cement plant was transferred to the brick factory to build the foundation. Then Belle Singh recalled and drew all the vehicles for pulling water billets and dry billets needed by the brick factory. There were also small carts for transporting garbage and waste on paper. After all, these vehicles are simple in structure, and ordinary welders can weld these small vehicles without difficulty. However, the triangle irons and steel pipes used in these vehicles are in great demand, and these steels have to be purchased and pulled back from Udapa. Then the welding and assembly cannot be completed in 1 or 2 days. First, the sketch will be drawn, and various sizes will be marked. In order to prevent the waste of raw materials, each steel component will be listed separately with various sizes marked on it. 1 day passed like this. In the evening, Belle Singh, who returned to the town, called the old housekeeper who was far away in Udapa. It is not difficult to buy those machines, but it is not easy to find professional talents to build brick kilns. In addition, a large number of bricks and refractory bricks need to be purchased, which are very tedious tasks. The old housekeeper alone cannot complete them. However, the manpower at home is really not available, and the only follower around him is Brooke, the human mule, but the brick factory is related to his wallet. No matter how hard it is, he has to hold on. There is no choice but to send Brooke, the human mule, to Udapa early the next morning to assist the old housekeeper. Belle Singh himself originally wanted to be lazy for 2 days and have a good rest, but he didn't expect to be caught by Marbury for asking for trouble. Directing the forklift and trencher to build the foundation on site, watching the construction site every day, is much more tiring than building bridges and roads. This cannot be completed in a short time. Belle Singh had no choice but to call his brother-in-law Blue to ask for leave. Originally, the brother-in-law was quite dissatisfied. He didn't expect Belle Singh to be in town not to play, but to build the foundation of a brick factory. He didn't expect that his brother-in-law would plan to open a brick factory after not seeing him for 2 days. The world of rich people is really hard to understand. Whatever you say, you do whatever you want. Besides, Belle Singh is doing serious work, not being lazy. Even if you are dissatisfied, what can you do? The manpower is already tight. Even Belle Singh, such a noble status, is watching on the front line. What can his brother-in-law do? He can only bite the bullet and continue to watch the construction site of the bridge and road. If Belle Singh is lazy, he is unwilling to even lift a finger. If he is diligent, it is really scary. Almost at 6 o'clock in the morning, when it is just getting light, he will get up to eat breakfast and sit on a thribengsi that has been contacted long ago. That is the 3-wheeled motorcycle, which is also the main transportation taxi company in Sinja town. It came to the cement factory. The senior staff members of the cement factory were reunited to take charge of the foundation construction of the brick factory. The cement factory has long been on the right track. Even the additional cement fermentation tank has been officially completed and entered normal production. There is no need to leave so many senior people idle, so they were recruited by Belsina to divide the work. Some contacted the road roller, some bought angle irons and steel pipes in Udapa, some bought cartwheels, and some recruited workers. There were also people who bought bricks. In less than 2 days, truckloads of bricks and refractory bricks were transported to the cement factory. The entire cement factory was busy to the extreme, and no one was idle. 2 days later, the brick kiln construction team was hired back at a high salary. They had already arrived at the cement factory under the leadership of Brooke. At this time, the foundation of the brick kiln had been laid, and the 3-meter high slope could prevent the invasion of floods that occur once in 100 years. What's more, drainage ditches are built around the brick kilns, and the rainy season has no effect on these brick kilns. Such professional construction and design have made professional engineering teams that have built more than dozens of brick kilns admire it. In addition, Belsing needs to build a 24-hull brick kiln, which is a super large project, which makes their engineering team earn a lot of money. In addition, knowing the strength of the Singh family, these people dare not be negligent. The foundation of the brick kiln was built the next day, after entering the cement factory. In less than 5 days, the brick factory was crowded with people, and the construction started in full swing. Belsing was busy at the cement factory, working from dawn to dusk, but Mrs. Lina was not idle in Udapa, dozens of kilometers away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 146, Elder Good. The city of Udapa is called the Venice of the East by Indians. As we all know, Venice is a water city. Almost all buildings are immersed in water, and the streets are made up of bridges and corridors. The roads are waterways around every building, and taxis are black boats. Indians are very arrogant, and like to exaggerate everything. The city of Udapa is jokingly called the Venice of the East by North Indians. It is not that all the buildings in this city are immersed in water, but that there are many natural lakes and artificial reservoirs connected in the city. The buildings are hidden in them, especially a water castle is more famous, which is the origin of what Indians call Venice on the water. Although it can't catch up with the real Venice, the city has sufficient water resources and ponds and wetlands everywhere. There are no highly polluting enterprises such as chemical plants, and there are not many vehicles in the city. Therefore, the air is particularly good, and the living environment is quite superior, especially the hotel, where Lina lives, is the best 5-star hotel in the city, and the price is quite expensive. After all, it is called the Venice of the East, and is also a tourist city. It is understandable that this small city has several star-rated hotels. One of the best hotels is the Royal Hotel. This Royal Hotel is 5-star, with complete internal facilities and even a small golf course. The tennis court, especially his room, is unique, and not a stock. The combination of various modern electrical appliances gives a feeling of traveling through time and space, and it is still so harmonious, making people look very comfortable. When Lina set out, Belsina repeatedly told her not to care about money, and that she needed the best food and accommodation. Women's bodies are weak, and they are under great pressure. Not everything is the best, which can easily cause Lina's physical fitness to decline, and her body resistance will be very weak at that time. Minor illnesses and disasters will also come to her door, which is not worth the loss. In order to save a few dollars, it is a fool to ruin your body. Just when Belle was busy in Sinja town, Lina moved into the Royal Hotel with people. According to what Belsina had told before he left, Shamasha was going to check in your wife in the presidential suite, which is also one of the best suites in the Royal Hotel. But Lina firmly disagreed. She didn't know how expensive firewood and rice were until she was in charge of the internal affairs of the entire family. Lina knew that the Singh family, which looked prosperous on the outside, had been emptied out. Although it looked prosperous on the outside, it really couldn't come up with much money. She came to Udapa to do business, not to travel. So she saved as much as possible and finally chose a high-end suite. Although the suite was a high-end suite, it was far inferior to those presidential suites, but it had all the living facilities, including its own independent bedroom, living room, and bathroom. There was even a small balcony, which was very comfortable to live in. After all, it was very convenient for one person to live in a large room. If Belsing was with her, 2 people could live in a large room, but one person could just make do. There was no such thing as so much spare money for luxury. After checking into the room, the maid would naturally help her mistress clean the room without Lina asking for help, and hang the clothes she brought in the closet. She had a good meal that night and rested. Early the next morning, Lina got on the car, provided by the hotel, and took Almisha to the best and largest Hindu temple in Udaipur. Because she had contacted by phone yesterday, when she arrived at the door of the temple, a bearded Brahmin priest personally received Lina. The two came to the room of the priest elder, chatting and laughing, and sat down in the living room. Of course, there were many temple servants who quickly brought tea and snacks. After the two sat down, the Brahmin elder smiled, and touched his big beard, sat on the carpet, and said to Lina, "Mrs. Lina came so early today, catching me off guard. The information sorted out overnight yesterday has been sorted out. Now Mrs. Lina will personally select it." Lina was very embarrassed. This Brahmin priest was over 80 years old. Although he was in good health, he was an old man after all. He sorted out overnight last night, but he didn't expect that he should have a lazy sleep today. At least he should have gotten up after 12 o'clock. I didn't expect that. I was so anxious that I ran to the temple at more than 8 o'clock in the morning. It must be that he was not getting enough sleep, and it was difficult for this old man. Solina felt very embarrassed. She took the thick information sent by the servant and said with a smile, "Elder Good, I have already got the information. I believe it has recorded the candidates I need in detail. Give me an assistant. I will ask him if there is anything. You should go back and have a rest. I'm very sorry that your eyes are red." Although the Brahmin priest elder is over 80 years old, he is very open-minded and doesn't care. He laughed and said, "There is no need. Although I'm not young anymore, I'm still in good health. There is no problem accompanying you for a few hours. After all, I'm responsible for recording these materials, and my assistant still can't understand all the situations. You can ask me if you have any questions. After all, this is a good thing and I should do my best to help you." Seeing that the old man insisted so much, Lina couldn't refute it, but poured a cup of black tea for the old man in a very filial way. Then she sat on the carpet and flipped through the information in her hand. Don't look down on this information. It records the information of more than 60 girls from the Vaishya caste, who are now in decline. Moreover, the oldest girl of the Vaishya caste is no more than 16 years old, and the youngest is only 9 years old. There are even 2 girls from the Kshatriya family, who are in a poor situation. Because they are in a high caste status like herself, these 2 Kshatriyas are still at the front of the information, but Lina automatically skipped them. This is for her husband, Belsing, to find a wife. Although these 2 Kshatriya girls' families have fallen into poverty, otherwise they would not have put their daughter's information in the temple for others to choose. But these girls from a poor family are also high castes, on the same level as herself. If she has to bring them home, wouldn't that be troublesome for herself? At that time, the family backyard will be ignored, and a few women fighting for power and profit will threaten her family and cause trouble for her brother Bel. Although Lina is very generous to personally select women for Belsing, the little girl is very cunning, and it is impossible for her to get a strong competitor. It is still the safest choice to find some Vaishyas whose family conditions are not very good, and rely on these daughters to live. Even if these Vaishya girls are smart and loved and give birth to boys, what does it matter? There is no way to threaten her position as the first lady of the Kshatriyas. There is no way to threaten the status of her children and the family. They are easy to grasp and control. These girls are her goals. Don't ask anything else, and don't make yourself uncomfortable or cause trouble. This is the true portrayal of Lina's heart. Chapter 147, Poor Girls. Everyone must feel very strange. Why do these Indian temple elders have so many real information about young girls? Each of these girls is from a poor family. Does the temple priest have any bad intentions in holding the accurate information of these girls? Or these temples are doing some unspeakable secrets behind the scenes? The elders who hold the information are priests during the day and pimps at night. This is too scary. In fact, everyone misunderstood why the 80-year-old elder god has so many young girls' information in his hands. Because these girls are from high-caste impoverished families. Everyone knows that girls in India are money-losing goods. The idea of favoring boys over girls has been rampant in India for thousands of years and has not changed at all. The parents or ancestors of these girls have gradually become lonely. To put it bluntly, they are bankrupt or begging. They are poor, but they still hold on to their high-caste brand and are unwilling to do those menial jobs. So the family life is getting more and more difficult, and there is no money to save the dowry for their daughters. But these girls are all born to their parents, but they are not welcomed at home. They are also the flesh and blood of their own bodies. Which parent would like to see their daughter marry a man of a lower caste, and the child born is also of a lower race, even inferior? So these helpless parents can only hand over their daughters' information and even photos to the Hindu temples in these big cities. There are elders who are responsible for the management of the protection level. If there are some high caste masters who need to find a concubine that matches their status, they will come to the temple to find the elders in charge of the household registration. Those who hold these girls look at the information of these girls like choosing concubines. If they like to choose these girls, it is equivalent to changing their own destiny. It also changes the fate of their offspring. It sounds incredible, but it is a fact that Indian girls have no right to control their own marriages. Parents' orders and matchmakers' words are rampant in Indian society. Getting married first and then falling in love is a hurdle that 99% of Indian women cannot cross. As for how the relationship between the two married people is, and whether the marriage is happy or not, these Indian girls can only beg the omnipotent Lord Shiva to help them realize their dreams. Does it sound strange? Although the household elders of these Indian temples are not pimps, they are also matchmakers. Marriage brokers are also disguised women traders, because everyone who comes to the temple to find a concubine will pay a large commission to the temple. The temple also makes money, otherwise would they provide these asterisk. Then someone will ask, if these girls are not selected by those wealthy nobles of the upper caste, and they reach the age of marriage, what should these girls do? Will they obey their parents' orders and the matchmaker's words, and marry those ugly, fat, and money-smelling Shudras of the lower caste? In that case, the fate of these girls and the information will be ruined, and they will never be able to turn over in their lives, and even their descendants will become Shudras of the lower caste. Because a girl of a higher caste marries a man of a lower caste, this is called reverse marriage, and the children born in the future will also follow their fathers, and be in the same caste level, and they will never be able to turn over in their lives. This situation does exist, and it is very common, but these girls' families have fallen into poverty, and their families have no money, and cannot provide a huge dowry. These girls have to marry boys of the same caste and finally have to face reality. This is the cruelty of society. This is why Elder Good knew on the phone that Mrs. Lina came to the temple and selected these girls in the name of buying maids. In fact, on the surface, they are choosing concubines for their husbands, and they say that this is doing good things, and this is the real reason for helping these girls change their lives. The fate of this kind of girl is simply chilling, but Hinduism emphasizes karma. In this life, you are born in a family of a low caste. You should be law-abiding and do good deeds as much as possible, and then come to the holy river Ganges in India to wait for death, and then the gods will arrange for you to reincarnate as a human according to the contributions you have made in this life. If you do more good things, you can be born in a family of a high caste to make you a superior person. This makes people of every caste stay in their own circle and don't try to provoke and overthrow the rule of the high caste. Let these low caste people accept it, make them docile, listen to the master's words, and be slaves for life. This is why these low caste Shudras and even the untouchable Dalits have been discriminated against from ancient times to the present. The reason why they dare not resist such unfair treatment is just like castrated livestock, who dare not resist the whip of their masters. This thick data is recorded in great detail, including these young girls, their age, and what caste they are in. which child is the first in the family, how high their education level is, their height and even 3-dimensional data. Or there are detailed records of their menstrual periods. It even includes the color of their skin, whether it is white or not, and to what extent it can be white. What color is the hair? What color is the eye? Are there any scars on the body? How much weight do they have? What do they like to eat? What do they like to drink? What literary and artistic skills are they good at, and do they like dancing or singing? In a word, all the information about these girls is in the file. It is not like choosing a wife or choosing a livestock, and it is not so detailed. But the reality is like this. It is so detailed that you can know everything about the girl without seeing her, and it is convenient to select these girls. The few people in the room were very quiet, only the old priest sat there drinking tea and eating snacks, and yawned from time to time. Obviously, he was very tired, but he still insisted, and Lena opposite, carefully examined the information in her hand. And from time to time, she admired and nodded, lamenting that these temple household registration departments made these materials so detailed, even more detailed than the police station. In this way, everyone must have raised questions again. Is the household registration system of the temple more detailed than the household registration system of the police station? That's right, it is more detailed than the police station. That's because the efficiency of the Indian government is really too low. No, it should be said to be incompetent. And corruption is rampant, regardless of whether they get high salaries. They do nothing except enjoy life. 70% of people in India will not deposit their money in banks, and even the number of bank passbooks or bank cards held does not reach 10%. That is to say, it is great if 10 out of 100 people have a bank passbook or a bank card. They don't keep their money in the bank, but in their own homes. Of course, most people live in a precarious situation and have little savings, let alone manage their household registration system in detail like other countries. Many people do not have a household registration, which means that these people are unregistered and have not been counted. India's official population is the second largest in the world, not exceeding China, but if a real census was conducted, India's population would have been the largest in the world. Chapter 148, Sisters Natasha and Natalie Modi. Although Lena is not very old, she has a very high taste and a very unique vision. Although it seems incredible to others that she is looking for a concubine for her husband, in India this is what a legitimate wife should do. This reflects the generosity of a legitimate wife and the virtues of a traditional Indian woman. In addition, the taste of the little girl is quite high, so the target conditions for finding a wife are very demanding. A thick book of detailed information of 70 people has been flipped through 1/3, but no candidate has been found. Seeing such a result makes the 80-year-old priest feel a little incredible. He was even nervous and sweating. He didn't expect this little girl to be so difficult to deal with. He spent a whole night searching for the information. He sorted out. They were all the best girls, but he didn't expect that this little girl Lena's taste was so picky that he, an experienced old priest, felt unsure whether he could complete this task. He also didn't know whether he could get a commission of more than 100,000 rupees from the temple. This is related to his income. Who wouldn't be nervous? But the old priest was not in a position to introduce to Lena the top girls he had, so he sat there as if there was a nail under his buttocks. Even the black tea that he usually liked very much or even loved felt like plain cold water and was very hard to swallow. Just when Elder Good was about to interrupt the picky Lena to personally recommend a few top girls, he didn't expect that Lena, who was frowning, suddenly smiled. Taking the information and carefully looking at the information and photos of the girl, the old priest was very strong despite his age. He was tall, slightly stretched his buttocks, and stretched his neck to sneak a glance forward, and smiled unconsciously. Because the two information that Lena liked were the only twins in this information. They were also a pair of top girls, not only beautiful, with fair skin, but also educated. Especially the two girls were twins. One was good at singing, and her voice was like a lark, especially beautiful. The other one is good at dancing, and her best skill is a difficult peacock dance. The two sisters are twins, and they can sing and dance, plus they look sweet. They are rare beauties. They are also the most popular candidates for wives. No wonder the picky Lina laughed unconsciously when she saw the information of the two girls. Now the two girls are really excellent. It can be seen from the information that the two girls are from the impoverished Vaishya caste, and their sister's surname is Modi. Grandpa is an Indian diplomat in the former Soviet Union. The father of the two girls also lived and worked in the Soviet Union, so there is nothing to say about family education. The names given to the two twin girls are also very Russian. The elder sister is called Natasha Modi, and the younger sister is called Natalie Modi. Both girls are 13 years old this year. One is good at singing and the other is good at dancing. The height is more than 1.5 meters, and the figure is slim and graceful. If it weren't for the grandfather of these girls being involved in a corruption scandal, he was dismissed from his position and thrown into prison. The father of the two girls was also implicated. He went from a well-informed senior intellectual to an alcoholic who only knew how to drink all day. Because the two pillars of the family broke down one after another, the elder brother of the two sisters was already 19 years old, but he had not yet married. He ran to the barber shop to learn barbering to earn money to support the family before graduating from middle school. There was also a sister who was 4 years older than them, but because of the family's poverty, there was not enough dowry. A beautiful woman from the Vaishya caste, who had been to school, had culture and cultivation, and could cook well, but she married a Shudra who rode a tricycle. Because of the dowry, the man always beat their sister, who was always beaten with bruises all over her body. Just 3 days after giving birth, she was forced to go out and work as a nanny and wet nurse in a rich family of a high caste. Her own child was just 3 days old and still couldn't get enough milk, so she was forced to feed other people's children. This is reality. This is a true portrayal of real society. There is no way to resist. You can only adapt. So with the previous experience of the eldest sister in the family, their mother had to bear the heart to put the information of their sisters in the database of the temple for others to choose. After all, those who can come to the temple to find a wife are all high castes, except Brahmins and Kshatriyas. After all, low castes do not have the strength to let the high caste Brahmin priests of the temple serve you. You are not qualified, and do not have the qualifications. The two girls were selected by a high caste master to return home, and the two girls escaped from the fire pit from then on. Even if they were not good enough, they could not be nannies for others like their eldest daughter, which was considered a happy life. The information of the twin sisters Natasha and Natalie can be said to be perfect, and their ages are very suitable for Belsing. In addition, the two sisters are of the Vaishya caste, which is not low, and they are also in line with Belsing's identity. The two sisters are good at songs and dances. When they are free, Brother Bell, who has been working hard for the whole family for a day, can offer a song or a dance to relax his mind. The information of these two sisters is quite in line with her requirements, and Lina liked everything about the two sisters at a glance. After repeated consideration, Lina smiled and pulled out both documents from the document book and put them aside. At this time, the 80-year-old elder good finally let it go. He did not smash the temple sign. He smiled and sat down again to drink tea one cup after another. Waiting for time to pass, more than 10 minutes later, Lina selected the information of another girl. This girl is very cute. She is only 10 years old this year. Her face is chubby and there is still some baby fat. Her skin is fair, and she loves to smile naturally. The photo on the information is also smiling, especially the two dimples on her face, which is particularly lovable. The name of this little girl is Prachi Gandhi. Of course, her surname is Gandhi, but she has nothing to do with the Indian wealthy Gandhi family. Gandhi is a very big surname in India. This little girl named Prachi is also a Vaishya caste. In the past few years, the family had a good life and owned a store selling curry, but the good days did not last long. The mother of this little girl Prachi died in a car accident. Prachi's father was so sad that he became addicted to alcohol and drugs. He gambled a lot and almost lost all the family's assets. Even more abominable is that he sold his children to repay his gambling debts. There are many brothers and sisters in Prachi's family, and she is the youngest daughter. She has 2 older sisters and 3 older brothers. Because the 2 older sisters are girls, they have a very tragic experience. They are forced by their father to be saints in the temple. In other words, as long as you spend dozens of rupees, To come to the temple, you can spend a night with the prostitutes in the temple. 2 of the 3 older brothers were also sold by their father. Only the eldest brother in the family was the eldest son. He had to set up a household to survive. Unexpectedly, a few years later, his little daughter would also face the fate of being sold. Chapter 149. Interview still needed. To be honest, which girl in this file is not from a poor family? Which family is happy? Who from a happy family would give their daughter away for nothing? So this file shows the blood and tears of these girls. This 10-year-old girl named Praji, in the photo, smiles so sweetly, and her 2 dimples are adorable. But the sadness revealed in her eyes can be seen by everyone. Although this little girl Praji is only 10 years old, she has a talent that others can't compare to, that is, a sensitive nose. The information shows that this little girl Praji can identify more than 300 flavors. Of course there is an exaggeration, but it is an indisputable fact that her nose is good. Otherwise her ancestors would not have been able to sell all kinds of curry spices. Another skill is particularly envied by other girls, that is, she has an unparalleled cooking talent. It is a very good candidate. After taking out the information of this little girl Praji, Lina carefully looked at the remaining information and drew it out 3 times. There were 6 files of little girls under 13 years old and over 10 years old, which was quite a lot. When leaving home, Belsina solemnly told Lina that it would be enough to find 4 qualified maids. So why did Lina find 6? The reason was simple: choose the best from the best, because the girls shown on these 6 files were the best. Calling them all in front of him and planning to have a live park interview. Does it sound funny? Finding a concubine for your husband, you actually have to interview and select the best. In the eyes of others, this is a very absurd request, but in India it is a normal request. This is to find a wife, not to find someone else who can be compromised. Can a wife be compromised? Solina spent 40 minutes to find 6 qualified files and handed them to the 80-year-old priest. Elder Good took the 6 girls' files, looked at them carefully, and then handed them to the assistant next to him and said with a smile, "You should know the home addresses of these girls. Bring all 6 daughters to the temple within an hour. Let Madam Lina choose them personally. Go and come back quickly." The assistant beside Elder Good is a bold Brahmin in his 40s with a kind face, but his eyes are moving around. It can be seen that his mind is not so simple, and he has a lot of tricks. However, people with such quick minds have a common problem, that is, they are timid and cautious. He will bully people of lower ranks than him to death, and those who are stronger than him will wag their tails and beg for mercy like a dog. Seeing Madam Lina wearing gold and silver, and followed by several strong male servants, he knew that this little girl was not easy to mess with. In addition, his boss was polite to this little girl. His boss was the elder of this temple with a high status. If he didn't know the identity of this girl, would he be so polite to her? How could such a person, an ordinary middle-level manager of the temple, be offended? After getting the information in his hand, he quickly agreed, ran out quickly, and then contacted the driver of the motorcycle taxi that worked for the temple. According to the information above, the first girls found were Natasha and her sister. When the middle-level managers of the temple appeared at Natasha's house, everyone was shocked. Especially Natasha and her sister vaguely felt that their hearts were not at peace, and even felt that their fate seemed to have changed a lot. They were looking forward to it, but they were also afraid. But as the saying goes, the children of poor people grow up early. In India, a society where early marriage and early childbearing are repeatedly banned, many 13-year-old girls can be said to have become parents, no longer children, and of course they know what they are facing. Natasha's father was still drunk and lying in the corner sleeping soundly, but their mother, who was an adult in the temple, started to cry after just a few words. Then she returned to her simple nest, rummaged through the closet, and found a package wrapped in cotton cloth. After opening it, it turned out to be 2 very gorgeous saris. These were expensive clothes purchased for the 2 daughters when the family had money in the past, and they planned to let them wear them when they got married. Almost everything in the house had been sold, even the mother's own dowry and wedding dress had been sold, but the clothes of her twin daughters were kept. These 2 sets of clothes were the most important property in the family. She handed the 2 sets of saris to the twins in person. She held the two girls and said with tears in her eyes, "Natasha, Natalie, you two are no longer children. I think you two know better than me, your mother, what you are about to face. It's time to change your fate. The key to change is in your hands. You must work hard. Otherwise, you will be bullied and humiliated like your eldest sister. Do you want to live your whole life in a muddle? So behave well." Natasha and her sister took a set of saris handed over by their mother. The elder sister's was red and the younger sister's was green, both of which were bright colors that India likes most. The embroidery was also very elegant and luxurious. The sister's little hands, which were calloused from doing rough work, stroked the two sets of saris and looked at each other. The unwilling look in her eyes slowly turned into determination, revealing a trace of unyielding spirit. Facing her unfair fate, she chose not to give in. The two sisters knew that this was the only chance to change their misfortune, and they must seize it, otherwise they would never be able to turn over in their lives. Their children could not turn over either, so the two sisters encouraged each other with their eyes, returned to the simple bedroom, and took off their dirty and torn clothes. The kettle in the room, washed each other's bodies, and then put on this gorgeous sari, followed the temple staff on the three-wheeled taxi, and ran to a room in the temple to receive visitors. The staff member then visited the other four girls at home without stopping, and the situations they encountered were basically the same. Only Praja, who had lost her mother, had no one to prepare clothes for her, so she could not leave a good impression on the interviewer. The little girl was very confident and optimistic, and covered her father, who was already drunk and unconscious, with the only torn blanket in the house. Then the little girl looked back at the dark and damp basement, where the rent was 50 rupees a month, and the shabby luggage storage. Next to it was a piece of leftover food, covered with flies and various small insects. Then she turned around and tidied up the old clothes left by her mother. She took a deep breath and smiled sweetly. The two dimples became more clear. She jumped with the temple staff to the entrance of the alley and got on a motorcycle taxi that only rich people could take. She came to the temple room and stood with those older sisters who were a head taller than her and were obviously adults, waiting for the choice of her fate. Chapter 150, Talent Show. These girls were brought into this quiet room one by one, and then they saw that they were not alone in the room. They knew that today's matter was to select the best candidates for admission. If they were not good enough, they would be rejected, and their fate at that time was foreseeable. None of these girls wanted to go to the temple to be a saint, and no one was willing to marry those black and dirty Shudras. Then the first solution was to rely on their own abilities to beat other girls and make themselves win. Only in this way can they change their own destiny, the destiny of their own family, and even the destiny of their future children. Then someone would ask, why do these girls have such ideas when they have not even seen the person who chose them, let alone the identity of the other party? Why do they know that changing their cognition has come? That's because there are unwritten rules in Indian temples, and they have made special registrations, and their real information is only from those high-caste masters. Women who come to the temple to choose to live together will get their real information if the temple staff notifies them to come to the temple. These girls know that their future husbands have already chosen them, and they will live with these husbands of the lowest status, and also the Vaishya caste in the future, living a life of wealth and power. These girls see other girls as mortal enemies. They will not communicate with these girls. Are they competitors? They want to strangle each other. It is impossible to scratch the ugly face of the other party with their sharp nails and talk to the other party. But the fate of these girls is equal and is only in their own hands, so no one has time to care about those competitors. When they come to this quiet room, the first thing they think about is what kind of talent they can use to impress their future husbands and choose them as wives. Although these girls are very precocious, they are not adults after all, and their minds are mature and immature. So there are all kinds of performances among the 6 girls. Some of them are afraid, and some are very confident, but surprisingly, the youngest Praj is the most relaxed one among them. The little girl is very confident, and knows her advantage, which is her appearance. She is the most handsome among these girls, with fair skin, long black hair, brown eyes, and a melon-shaped face. Whether in the east or the west, this face shape is the standard for beauty, although there is some baby fat on it. It's just that everyone with experience knows that when Praji grows up, she will be a rare beauty. Her face is her best weapon. It is also her best asset, so the little girl is not anxious or afraid at all, but curiously looks at these 5 older sisters who are much older than her. Some of them are facing the wall and muttering to themselves. There are also 2 older sisters who look exactly the same, but they are actually twins. And they look very similar, whispering in the corner to discuss something. There is also a older sister who is so nervous that she is shaking all over, squatting on the ground with tears in her eyes. She looks pitiful, but who can tell whether this girl who is squatting on the ground and about to cry is not using some special means to attract attention. Just as the little girl Praji was observing the nervous older sisters in the room, the door of the room was suddenly opened. These girls thought that they would not see with their own eyes how the man who is about to become their husband will choose them and cruelly reincarnate other competitors. Unexpectedly, everyone was disappointed. A girl with amazing momentum and elegance came in. She was from an aristocratic family and walked in a precious sari. Then all the girls who were about to be interviewed felt that the other party's eyes were too scary. That was the temperament of a real superior. Just a glance, and I felt that the other party's eyes were like a sharp knife or an X-ray machine, which took a thorough look at me. I felt that I had no secrets when facing this girl. Who is this girl? Why is she so powerful? Why did a little girl who was about the same age as me come in? What's going on? The 6 little girls who participated in the interview looked at me, and I looked at you. They were at a loss, and looked at the male servants who were wearing uniform clothes that were better than those rich bosses they had seen. The tables and chairs brought from outside were placed at the door, and then the little girl was asked to sit down. The distinguished elder good actually sat in the first place below the little girl. This surprised everyone again. This girl's status is not simple. Could this girl be their examiner? No, my parents told me clearly when they registered for me. In the future, a man will choose me as his wife. So why is it that a girl came in? Although I don't understand, although I'm confused, although I'm very scared, the moment to decide my fate is coming. No girl will be careless and ruin her future. Everyone consciously stands in line according to their height. Then they took off the veil on their faces, exposing their delicate faces to men other than their fathers and brothers for the first time. These girls are more beautiful than each other, and their skin is very white. After all, white is beautiful in India, and the whiter the skin, the more popular the girl. Each one has big eyes and black hair, although more or less some malnutrition and thinness. But the body has grown up, and after a few months of eating and drinking well, it will slowly become plump. Except for the 10-year-old Praja, these girls are ripe peaches. One by one, they stood up in front of this very scary looking girl with their chests and heads held high, showing their most confident side. At this time, Lina's eyes swept over the nervous girls one by one, and then stood up and said to these girls with a smile, "Don't be nervous, everyone. My name is Lina Singh, and I'm from the town of Singja, which is hundreds of kilometers away. You may find it strange that I'm the one interviewing you. Let me explain the reason to you. That's because my husband, Mr. Belsing, is busy with the family business. He has no time or energy to select candidates for your wives. Only I, the legal wife, can come forward. After all, you will all live together and serve one man together in the future, and you should treat each other as sisters. If your personality doesn't match mine, it will be like trouble in the backyard. I'm your examiner, and I hope you will seize the opportunity. Show me your best side. As long as I like you, Brother Bell will not have any objections. It is the mission of us women to live together and reproduce offspring for the Singh family. I hope you won't let me down. The interview will begin. Sisters Natasha and Natalie will perform first. Show your talents and body flexibility. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.